All right, what's going on, everybody, man? Welcome to Sizzle News Podcast Show, man. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday night, man. We got special guests in the building, man. We're talking to Charlemagne Gibbons of Gainesville High School basketball. A team I think is going to shock a lot of folks this year, man. I think they're ready. I think this is the year they take the step forward, man. So we're going to have that. We'll talk WNBA Finals and everything that happened. Asia Wilson's game winner. We'll also get into the NBA preseason. Some big news on LeBron, who's going to miss 3 to 4 weeks with a psychiatric nerve. We'll get into that, and we'll get into some college basketball as well with Big Ten Media Days, ACC Media Days, and everything that's been going on all this week. But without further ado, let's bring on Gainesville head basketball coach, Charlemagne Gibbons. Coach Gibbons.
What's up, guys? Hey, what's going on, man? How are you guys?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
God, man, I'm making a living as usual, man.
For sure, Coach. So I just want you to start, as I always do all my guests, just give us a background, man. Why you do what you do? Why do you love the sport of basketball so much? I know you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, this is like season 24, somewhere in there. Man, my dad was a college basketball coach. My uncle was a coach, man. I grew up around the game, grew up loving the game, teaching the game. Obviously at Gainesville, we pretty excited about the season coming up. But I mean, I'm excited about every year, man. I've had a couple of different stops, but man, just having the chance to let kids chase their dreams, man, is a big part for me. And I guess it's a blessing from God to be able to be halfway decent at it.
100%. So I just said previous stops you've had, obviously Newton, several other stops. You're at Gainesville, team that played pretty well last year, right? You came up a little bit short at Sprayberry. What was your point of emphasis, Coach, in the offseason that you stressed to this program and to this team as players came back that you guys want to work on and to continue to improve?
I thought that last year, just the reality of it is when we took it over, it was in a tough spot. And I thought that, year one, we got to the playoffs. Obviously, you don't want to advance in year two, but I thought we did some pretty good stuff considering how, our schedule was the number one strength of schedule in our classification last year. And so I thought being 19-8 with that schedule did a pretty good job. Obviously we didn't like the way the season ended, but I still think that we bring a lot of guys back. And I think that was kind of a point of contention of how we finished out. I thought it got to be a long year for guys who weren't used to being in that kind of role. And the season got a little long on us. And so I thought this year I'm kind of building our endurance for being good over an extended period of time. Obviously basketball is a 5 to 6 month season. So just having those guys locked in and being at their best at the end of the season, not necessarily at some high points during the year. We have some big wins, but you want to be your best in February. And I thought it got a little long for us. And so trying to build that endurance of being good over an extended period of time has kind of been our focus in the offseason.
Got you. And speaking of that, so walk me through the offseason, Coach. GBC Live. I got a chance to see you guys up close and personal. I was impressed. Like, I think defensively, you guys are tenacious. Y'all get out on the brick and y'all push the tempo. I'm going to ask you about a player, Kevin White, here in a little bit later on. But what did you like that you saw from your group just competing-wise in terms of GBC Live and all the tournaments you guys played in this summer?
I thought you saw a group that was hungry. Thought you saw a group that found some confidence in how we play. Obviously, we got a good sized team, so kind of playing inside out is not necessarily how everybody plays these days. I know it's a big emphasis on kind of everybody shooting threes, but I thought in GBC we did good. I wasn't even there the second week. I got a great coaching staff. That helps me out. Shaquan Cantrell and Cornelius Taylor and Jamie Brooks. Those guys do a fabulous job, and so I thought they did a great job of kind of managing that through the GBCA. But I do think that our team showed the level of talent that we do have, from an individual perspective, and then also it kind of came together as a team. So I was pretty excited about the way we played because I was like everybody else. I was watching online. I was out in California. My daughters play soccer all over the country, so we were out there with them kind of during that time. But I thought it gave us, a real boost. I thought it was a confidence builder too because we really worked hard once the season got over with between, March and June. And I thought those guys had success. And so I thought that kind of, spurred them in the right way of like, man, we got out here and really played well over these 2 weeks. And guys were able to pick up, offers and interest. And, everybody wants to go to school and play. And so that's the biggest part about the stuff in June is that playing well enough that, some other college coach sees the kid and thinks that they could help them in their program.
For sure. And the point you just brought up, I want to ask you about, you talked about playing inside out and not necessarily on the perimeter as most teams are playing. So when you coach, Coach Gibbons, are you looking more so to your players' strengths? Do you play based off of a certain scheme that you like to run? Like, how do you kind of parlay that, like playing with your players' strength and also the scheme and everything you want to incorporate as well?
Well, that's the one thing I like about college. Everybody always asks, do you have any interest in going back to college? The one thing I like about high school basketball is that, like, you have to be creative every year based on what you have on your team. It's not like college where you can go say, hey, this is our style. We're recruiting towards this and we get that. You don't. You have to have the kids that is, in your program, in your school zone. You have to figure out every year what that looks like. For us, I thought we didn't really have a style last year per se. We just kind of figured it out with a little bit of talent. I think this year we kind of do have a style. We're big across the front line. We want to pound that basketball down inside. We want to, be first shot rebounders on the defensive end. And then we want to give our guards a chance out in transition to really push out and be creative. And then once the game settles down from a transition standpoint, we get into the half court, we definitely want to pound that basketball inside and play inside out. So you'll see some things with us that's probably a little bit unique that I haven't done kind of over my career as a coach, because this is a new team every year in high school. And so I thought we had the basis of that this year. With some of the stuff we try to do in transition and nailing our five guy at the front of the rim and, trying to play some high-low and stuff like that, which we grew up playing basketball that way.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, you had to, like, you weren't shooting all those quick threes and all that stuff. But, now that's kind of the way that we do play the game. And we want to incorporate some of that too, because our kids want to have some freedom to be able to play. But at the same time, we're going to play to our strengths, and that's pounding the basketball inside.
So speaking of this year's team, I want to ask you about a player and then get to explore it even more. So Kevin White, tell me about him. What makes him such a special player on both ends of the floor?
First of all, he's tenacious. I mean, he's a tenacious on-ball defender. He's one of the best weak side double back. We call it doubling back, where your guy gets to the weak side and he just goes, and he may go far corner or something like that. And he doubles back into the play, and maybe it's a back tap from behind. Maybe it's coming on the baseline on the steal with the post. But man, just his defensive tenacity and instinct and knowing when to do what, not just be a gambler, but be concise and be sharp when you're taking those chances. And I think his defensive prowess with that is really good as any of the kids I've had. I've had some really good guards over the years. And then on the offensive end, man, pushing the tempo, getting your teammates involved, looking to know where guys' strengths are. I thought you saw him do that with our team. I mean, he is the engine that makes this thing go. We got a lot of really talented guys, but he's the engine that makes that thing go. And I thought he had a great summer. I think whoever makes a decision, I mean, he's got schools that's been in recruiting him, but whoever really makes the decision to step forward on him, I think is going to get a bargain for their buck, because I think the kid does a lot of stuff that you just don't necessarily see in highlight videos and stuff like that. Pushing the tempo, knowing where everybody's supposed to be, being that floor general on the court. And then he can pull it down, he can score some too. And so I think that's the other part of it that you kind of got a chance to see in the summertime, is they got everybody involved. And then on the stretch of games, he was able to call his own number and be able to put the ball in the basket as well.
And then you just said he's a floor general. Talk about all things he could do on the floor that doesn't always get noticed. Do you feel like you would lean on him a little bit more, Coach, this year in terms of just leadership, in terms of being kind of that on-court coach? And there's certain situations of adversity you guys face, leaning on him to kind of rally the troops, rally the guys.
Yeah. I one of the things is, KJ was a good player before. He was at Newton before he came to us, and just taking over a team is different than being a guy that plays. When you play, you're playing, you're doing some stuff, you're doing what the coach asks you to do. But when you take over a team, you and the coach have to be on the same page. You have to know why coaches want to see certain looks, why they're doing it, what's the strengths of the team. And I think his awareness of those things now has really been heightened from last year to this year. I also think his attention to detail, more video. He gets in with us in the afternoons and he's watching video and trying to figure out, where we can be better at, where he can be better at, but also the strengths of our team and how he can better utilize his teammates to their strengths as well. And I think that's a credit to him to want to do those things. I think a lot of times kids talk about wanting to be a point guard or wanting to be a quarterback, but a lot of times that's more work off of the court than you can imagine. And you're going to be held responsible for stuff that other guys do wrong, which is very difficult for guys to accept in that point guard spot. But we put a lot of responsibility on him for those things. And we've really been, trying to make sure he and I are connected. He's connected with the coaching staff and understanding what we're looking for and why we're looking for it. And I think he's really brought into that role.
There it is. All right, Coach, put me on game, man. Tell me about the rest of this crew that you're going to have this year. You're going to be bringing out there with Gainesville, and as you guys, kind of get on your quest for the season to start.
Obviously, we got Charlie Gershmal, who's a Belmont commit, kind of a do-it-all, in and out, 6'7", 6'8", can shoot it some. So that adds obviously to what we're trying to do. I think he's a matchup problem. We also have Quentin Mansfield, who's also a Troy commit. Kind of the same thing. I think both of our forwards can go in and out and kind of pull off of each other, which is good in high school when you got two kids that are playing in and out. They're 6'7", 6'8". that really helps you. We had the addition of Kevin Curtis kind of in at the 5 spot. Kevin's 6'11", 7 foot. So that allows kind of our other guys to be able to roam free. And he's getting better and better, kind of each and every day. I know a lot of people have probably seen him, but I think the work that he does every day is going to allow him to have kind of the year that he's kind of been looking to have through his high school career. And then on the wings and our wing spots, we have Brandon Nelson, who returns to us from last year, who defensively does a good job, knocks shots down with his feet set, but he knows more than anything about what we're trying to do. He's been with us probably one of the longest standing tenure guys in our program. So he kind of understands where we are. And then we were able to add Bryce Jackson, who came in, also had a good year for Newton last year, and now he's here. Adds a level of athleticism we haven't had on the perimeter in transition, makes a lot of loud plays, catch and shoot guy. And then he's also kind of picked up his defensive prowess as well. And so, those combination of guys, I think, going to really, really give us an opportunity to be one of the stronger teams in 5A. But again, 5A this year is not an easy task. It is some really, really good teams and some really, really good coaches in 5A. And so, having those guys, and then we have a couple of young guys. We have a freshman who I'm pretty excited about named Jackson Trammell, 6'4", 6'5"-ish, about 215 pounds. And so he's going to be a grown man as he goes through this, but really knows how to play the game, plays beyond his age. He's only a 14-year-old kid, but plays beyond his age. So I think adding those guys, having them in our fold, and we got a good group of freshmen too. They may not see the floor as much this year, but just for practice purposes, help these guys push and give them really good looks in practice. So I'm pretty excited about this group.
100%. So I know you don't do it alone, Coach. I know you got to always have a good staff with you in order to put this thing together. So tell me about some of the staff members you lean on and you depend on to help you kind of, go through this process and be able to put together this team, how you put it together.
I got a really good staff. When I took this job, I wanted another college guy to be with me to understand, what the rigors are. So I was able to convince Jamie Brooks to come over with me. And Jamie had been at Andrews College as a head coach. He had been at a junior college a few times. And then also he had been at, Florida State as well. And so bringing in another guy who knows kind of what you expect from that perspective helps. And then I've been blessed. Man, I'm 48 now, so I don't do as much as I used to do on the court, but I do a lot. But man, I got 2 young assistants, man, who are gonna make some really good head coaches in the future. Shaquan Cantrell, who was one of Gainesville's better players over the course of the year, and also University of North Georgia's all-time leading scorer. So he's really helped out a lot. Spends a lot of time with our forwards. Really has brought their game along. And then also he helped spearheads our strength and conditioning. So that's a big part because I've never really given that up before. So that's kudos to him. He does a great job. And then we have another young coach named Cornelius Taylor, who I happen to know from some of my former players that played together, and he was at Florida Atlantic, and so obviously I had been assistant coach there over the years, and so he got in the area and he works with our point guards, and so he spent a lot of time with those guys. And you probably saw the uptick in some of our perimeter play through the summer, and I thought he was very, very instrumental in spearheading that. But those guys get on the court with him, and they still can really play. So that kind of helps too, and I can kind of stand back a little bit and don't have to mix it up as much as maybe I used to. But our staff is really good and they're experienced. I mean, both of those guys were played professionally. Do a great job of being on the court with the guys. Having the seasoning between Jamie and I does a great job. And so, that's kind of our varsity staff. And I think those guys are all primed to be head coaches in the near future. I'm hoping I can continue to keep those guys around, but you know how it is, man. People see your success and they see the level of individual coaching that you have, and everybody wants to see if they can pull guys away from you.
100%. Coach, I want to break it down a little bit more. I want to ask you, what are the pillars of Gainesville basketball? When I say pillars, Coach, like what is this team going to be? Like, essentially, like what are some things that you hold them accountable for, right? Like, hey, we're going to be a fast-paced, up-tempo team. Like, what are the pillars you got to do to be a red elephant for your team?
Man, first of all, your buy-in has got to be 100% every day. Like that's the number one thing. Like when you come in, there's going to be some days you don't make shots. You're not going to, definitely always be the sharpest, but your buy-in of being able to be coached. We coach these guys extremely hard. We expect certain reactions when those guys get coached, and we expect all of our guys to have it from our freshmen all the way to our seniors. And so your buy-in has got to be there. If you're a guy who's half in and half out, we're probably not the coaching staff for you. Are you going to make some mistakes? Are you going to have some games that you don't play as well? Then that's fine. But your buy-in has got to be there. And then you got to be able to be accountable for your actions, both on and off of the court. We're a big off the court accountability group. that I don't think that you can do things away from the floor and then come to practice and think you're going to do something totally different. I just don't believe in that. I think that you got to be accountable on both ends. And so holding our kids accountable both on and off the floor is something big. And then the last thing is just being connected to your teammates. Like if you're not going to be a great teammate, I am not the coach for you. If you think this is only about you, it's not. I've had some of the best players across the state of Georgia in the last 20 years, I guess you'd say, because I've been doing this for a long time now, but it's never just been about them. It's been about their teammates. And I think that's why those guys have had success, moving to their next levels. And so, your connectivity with us is going to be a big thing. And if you can do those three things, I think you can play here at Gainesville.
Period. And then, Coach, tell me about some of the big time showcases you guys are going to have this year, some of the big time matchups, man. I seen the smile come up. Like, what's some big showcases y'all going to be in?
We're gonna play. Obviously, we're gonna play in the Grade 8 this year. We always thought that's a great event to kind of tip the season off. I can't remember our opponent, but it's gonna be somebody good. Last year was Dutchtown, so another great 5A team. So I'm sure we'll have a great opponent again there. We're gonna go over and play in Alabama at Chris's event. He's doing the Rocket City version of the Hoops Gibbons, so we're gonna go over there and play. I think we're playing Oxford High School, and they got a kid who committed to Belmont at the point. And so that's a pretty good matchup because we got a Belmont commit as well. And then obviously, Winfrey and I are very close, and he's having his event this year at Thanksgiving, Hard in the Paint. And last year we played McEachern and Westlake. I think this year it may be McEachern and Woodward or something like that, if I'm mistaken, back-to-back nights. And so, just that in itself. I mean, by the time you get through the first 5 games, we're in Hawks Naismith as well. I love that event. I always think that's a prime time event. I think we have Kale maybe over there, and so every year you play. Last year we played Wheeler, so it doesn't get any easier. And that's our first 5 or 6 games of the season. And then we're hosting an on the radar event, the North Georgia Classic with Sean Williams, and so that's going to be at our place. And I think we're playing Rayburn County, which people may not know the name, but Rayburn's got some pretty good players up there, kind of up in our way, so that'll help. And then we're also hosting a leg of the Corky Kale on December the 13th, and we're playing Pinson Valley, who we had a great game with last year, an event that I did. Coach Barber does a great job with his guys. It's a matching of styles. They spread it in space and pace, and we want to pound it inside. And so it's kind of who can leg it out. I think we beat them last year on a buzzer beater in overtime. So we're looking forward to that matchup again. Here in Hall County, you're going to play in the Lanier Land, and so we're playing that. It's always a big event here before Christmas. And then we're going to the Iverson Classic after Christmas up in Murfreesboro this year. We'll be up there 2 days after Christmas. We got two big games up there. A school out of North Carolina, I think, got a kid going to Georgetown. And then I think we're playing a team out of Florida who's going to be pretty good. I think it's the University School, and they got a really good group as well. And I think our last showcase event is we're going to go to Grayson and play in their event. I think it's a New Year's
Classic.
Yeah, the New Year's Classic. Maybe the second or something like that. Not quite sure. Maybe Cedar Grove we play. Whoever it is, I mean, that's that the field is stacked, but maybe Cedar Grove. And so that's just par for the course. I mean, every year I've been a coach. I always believe in playing the best. I don't care about my record going into February. I'm concerned about my region record, obviously, because that's your seeding going into the tournament. But my regular season record, that doesn't matter to me if my team is prepared come February. And so I think this schedule gives us a chance, because a lot of people are like, Coach, where do you find wins at? I said, well, you better go take one.
Right.
That's the only thing I know, because it ain't gonna be easy. Last year was the same way. We had a brutal schedule last year. My first year, when we weren't very good at all, we still had a very brutal schedule. But I still think that gives you an opportunity to be in the playoffs and make some noise come playoff time. So that's kind of what we're looking for with our schedule.
And real quick, if you don't mind sharing, Coach, just how do you feel like that prepared? Our region has gotten better and better over the years. We know how good Milton is. We know that obviously teams like Lanier is improving, Second Year's improving as a basketball program and a team. How do you feel like you said, it's all for the postseason, but how do you feel like that makes you prepare for that region? So then you guys can go, win those tough games on the road, Wednesday night, whatever it may be, and be able to position you guys the best when playoff time comes.
Well, first of all, our region, we have some very good basketball coaches in our region. Like if you look at our region through and through, Greg over at we used to be at Burtmore, now he's at Seconder. We've always had some really good battles. Obviously, Whitehart and I've had battles over the years. And so you start talking about that level of experienced coaches coming in, and they get a whole, season to plan for you and be able to evaluate what you're doing. They, all the games now are all online, so everybody's got all kind of film. And so this schedule hopefully prepares us for a lot of different styles, a lot of unique styles that we'll see in region play, and then have you battle test. You got to go to some tough places on Tuesday night and get some wins. And so hopefully our preseason schedule puts us in a lot of neutral site games where, you're not at home. There's always a comfort when you're at home. You feel like you're going to shoot better. You feel like the kids are more relaxed at home and they feel a little more comfortable. Well, in order to win a state championship, you're not playing at home. So I think our preseason schedule gets us ready for our region play, as well as the playoffs. And so that's going to be a big part of what we kind of look into going into region play this year.
And then, Coach, if you can tell me about I feel like the rivalry's gotten better and better. I feel like you guys will get a win, they get a win. It's always neck and neck. But tell me about the rivalry just melted, the last few years, and obviously coaching against White Hart, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, well, I mean, we ain't got a lot of wins. We got to stack up a couple of this year, just to be real. But no, we go back, man. Like Coach has always done a good job. We've had battles over the years. I was in Morgan County, he was at Beaufort, and we played. We're one of the few coaches that don't mind playing each other during the regular season. Obviously, we're in the same region now, but over the years we've gotten together and played each other. I think he does a great job. His teams are always well prepared. They got us last year. We would have loved to play them again in the region championship, but Lanier was able to knock them off, and we were able to knock off Lanier in the region. But I you got to prepare. I mean, like not just Coach Whitehart, but a lot of these other coaches in our region are going to be well prepared with their teams. And so, I think that's the fun part of it. That's one of the reasons why when I left college, I wanted to come back to Georgia and coach high school basketball, because it's like small college. Like, you have to be prepared. Your teams have to be prepared for what you're going to face, because the opposition is definitely going to scout you. They're definitely going to be able to take some things away. And that's the fun part about coaching. It's the, you check and checkmate. What can we pull off and what can we get away with? And, what can they do against us? And so you have to be prepared from that standpoint. But I think it also is the reason why Georgia's produced a lot of really good college basketball and now professional basketball players over the last few years, is because the level at which you got to play at in high school is probably a little more tougher than maybe some of the other states are around. And so maybe these kids aren't as prepared as the kids are in Georgia.
All right. Speaking of, let's talk about that a little bit, Coach. What are some of the biggest differences you may be seeing? You've coached a college game. You're obviously on the high school scene. What are some biggest differences you're seeing currently today, maybe between the two?
I think that the college game is very streamlined. Like, who's going to take the shots when you get to college. You're very well, when you're coming into your scouting report, these 2 guys, maybe 3 guys are taking the bulk of the shots. And I think that's the hardest thing for high school kids to understand, is that, like, you're not going to get that pass in college. You're not going to be able to get those shots. You don't have these plays that you could take off on. We just had a meeting with some guys today that as we're talking about college. And I said, hey, man, don't you know when you go to college, you hope that you take 3 to 4 or 5 shots a game. You pray for that, but there's going to be guys already there who's established who's taking these shots. And so I think the biggest number for high school kids is they think scoring is going to get them there, and it doesn't. Being able to do all of the other stuff, number one, being a great defender, team defender, been a great rebounder, been a great cutter. People don't talk to these young kids about cutting these days in high school. They look at you and you're like, man, that's not a hard enough cut. And he's like, oh, coach, I'm just clearing through to the weak side. And you're going, listen, when you get to that college and you're not cutting at that speed, that coach doesn't think you should be on the floor. And so I told my seniors today when I met with them, a lot of them, we talked, I said, we're going to coach you like you're a freshman in college. We're going to expect the same things. I think a lot of times in high school, when kids get to be seniors, we've had you for 3 or 4 years. We got a great relationship with you. And we just begin to say, oh, it's okay. He's a senior. He deserves to be able to do that. It's not true if we're trying to help them get ready for college. I think your senior year, you should be coached harder than you've been coached any of your other years as a player, just based on the fact that you're going to go back to the bottom of the totem pole the following year. And I think that's the biggest difference between high school and college, is that most of the time in your senior year, they kind of give you a free pass because you're a high school senior. And I just think that you have to learn. Like, you have to learn defensively. You have to learn transition defense. You have to learn continuity. You have to learn making the extra pass or going to the guy who they're going to go to. That's the other thing that people don't like to talk about. In college, your coach is going to tell you, I don't want you shooting that shot. I want him shooting that shot, because he shoots it at 40% and you shoot it at 25%. So that's a big difference. And they're going to tell you that flat out. And I think in high school, we try not to hurt the kids' feelings a little bit.
Right.
Hey, you're open. Take that shot. It's okay. You've been working on it. But Kelvin Sampson just told you guys, who's one of the best college basketball coaches, he's like, why would I tell a 25% shooter to take more shots? That doesn't make sense. Man, move the ball to the guy who's shooting 40%. And I think that's the hardest thing for high school kids and high school families, not just the kids. I think the kids could be okay if the families could be okay with understanding what has to happen next. We all talk about college. Yeah, okay, we're going to go to college. This is what you need to be able to do. And so I think a lot of times if the families can understand, we can get the kids to understand, and then that kid can really grow. But if you don't have that, sometimes I think it's a hard out, and it's a tough lesson for that kid to learn when he gets to college and he's finding out like I ain't playing and I ain't shooting, and coach ain't even caring about that. And that's the reality of it as they kind of go through it.
Now I want to ask you, Coach Gibbons. So just real quick, you've coached a lot of great players over the course of your career, your 24-year career. Obviously, I know one of the big ones is Stephon Katz. I know you coached Ja'Kai Newton, who's now at Georgia State, formerly Indiana. What other players have you coached, and what did you see early on, maybe from Stephon, that separated him from the pack from other players that you've coached? Because I mean, he's in the NBA, just won Rookie of the Year. He's expected to be a big part of what the Spurs is doing going forward. Wembanyama, obviously everybody else, Dylan Harper. What did you see early from him, and talk about some of the players you've coached?
The thing I would say the most, and I think I just hit on it a few minutes ago. I think the thing of this a characteristic of all of the really, really, really good players that I've had before is their families back you as a coach. So those kids have nowhere to go. They can't go home and say, man, coach don't like me. Coach don't want me to shoot. Coach don't, and then you get that. Man, the kids are like water, right? Anytime there's a crack, they're going to find that crack to make an excuse. When you have those kids sealed up, when the mother and the father, the uncle or the cousin or whoever is in that kid's life is there, and the AAU coach is there, and we're all saying the same things, I think that's been the kids and the families that have had the most success with me, because I'm going to be straightforward. I'm going to be very honest with my guys. The thing about Stephon that was unique is he only started 2 games as a freshman. I always tell the story of my dad. My dad was a college basketball coach. And so he asked me, he says, man, you got this kid in the 9th grade, and he's got a big frame, and you can tell he can do some things, but what do you think he is? And I said, oh, he's a point guard. And he goes, a point guard? He's like, are you sure about that? And I said, listen, just give this kid a little bit of time to let his body catch up with where his IQ is, and let his game catch up with where his body is, and let him get a little bit stronger. And I think you're going to see one of the most unique players in high school basketball, which is what he turned out to be. And not just him. I mean, like you said, I had Ja'Kai Newton, I had Marcus Whitlock, I had Daniel Pounds, I had Ashton Penniman. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I had TJ Clark, who was all the time. I mean, so the list goes on. I mean, when I was at Stars Mill, I had Jermaine Mann, I had Nate Allison. Both of those guys were Division I players. When I was at Morgan County, I had, and who I think is one of the best high school players to play in my time, I had Tukey Brown. And, that kid could really, really do it. But you never had anything with him. I had Jalen Ingram, who just finished at Georgia. DeVorest Brown. I mean, I've just had a lot of guys, but the number one thing is all of their families were like, man, what'd your coach say? And what'd your coach say? And even if they didn't believe it, like even if mom and dad may have had some private conversations that they may not have liked or agreed with how I handled things, they never let that seep into their kids' head. So I think that allowed us to be able to connect and build those kids, because nobody wants you to be better than your head coach. Like nobody has more of a dog in the fight, because if you're a really good player, guess what? They think I'm a halfway decent coach, and that'll continue to have me, maybe with more kids who want to continue to play for you over the years. And so I think that's kind of been like my formula. Just getting the parents to believe in what you're doing and know that you're going to be right by their kids and hold them accountable when they're wrong. That's the other part of it too. Like I know sometimes coaches are a little bit hesitant to say, hey man, if I do this, the kid, the mom may, or the dad may pull them or something like that. I'm like, listen, I tell my kids all the time, man, 16 doors at our high school, you can walk out of any one of them and I ain't gonna look for you. But if you're in there, we're going to coach you hard and we're going to believe in you. And I think that there's more of a kudos to all of the families that I've had over the years, all of these players that we've been able to have. And it's a lot of them. And I may have, omitted a couple of them. But again, I got the pictures up in my office, and, my young kids coming there every day and it's like, coach, I didn't know he played for you and he played for you. But I think that also sets a precedence too. Those guys still come around when they're home and still come up even here to Gainesville too. He was up maybe about a month ago and spent some time with KJ White, just talking to him about the perils of a small guard and what it takes and what makes me small guard than these other guys. And so just, having the ability to have those guys, because they sometimes think coach is a little bit crazy, but hearing it from somebody who's having success, or some guys who are in the pros right now, I think it goes a long way with our high school players.
For sure. And then a part you talked about that started me. Obviously, I know Pops coached you a little bit. You had to tell him like, nah, I think this is what he is. I know obviously Pops had the knowledge, at first to pass it down to you. But what were some big lessons you learned from him and becoming a great coach and being one of the best in the state?
Man, my dad talked about how to build your program. If you ever look and you ever looked at all of my programs, when I was at Morgan County, I left to go to college. They went to 5 straight Final Fours after I left. A good friend of mine took the job, Jamon Sims, but that was already in place. When he walked in the very first day, I could tell you what kids we had in our program from the 5th grade all the way to the 12th grade. And we finally getting to a point here at Gainesville where we're kind of building the same thing where we can tell where our kids are from the 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and on up. And so I think that's one thing I really took from my dad is like, how do you build your program? How do you invest in your young players? How do you bring them along, not giving them too much too early, but bringing them along where they're still going to stay hungry, but also still build their confidence at the same time. Between that and then probably player development, like looking at a kid and telling what he's going to be in 3 to 4 years. A lot of times I can look at kids and say, hey, he may not be there today, but he moves very fluidly. He's got good explosiveness. He's got good coordination. He moves well, good lateral movement. And so those are a lot of the things that I kind of took from him. He's also health and physical education, and he's been dean of education for a long time. And so we do a lot of stuff talking about the kinesiology and the movement of the body and stuff like that. And so I think that's a big part of like me evaluating players. There's a lot of times where I evaluate a player and I'm like, hey, I really like this kid. And they're like, he can't do this. I'm like, yeah, at 14, he can't do it, but that joker can run. He can move laterally. He can reach with both hands, left and right. Cross lateral movement looks good. And so I think that's been kind of something that's been kind of a trade secret for us as I've kind of looked to develop players, has been able to kind of tell some of those things. And I kind of got all that stuff from him because he's very big on the movement of players.
And I was going to ask you that, Coach, just how you're able to tell. I mean, we talked about earlier how you can tell a player is different in the characteristics and obviously parents being bought in. But, how do you know early, if they could become, a guy or even a role player for your team? And obviously you talked about movement. Is there any other qualities or things you look for? Is it attitude? Is it character? Like, what are some other things that
it's definitely character. Okay. And also in my freshmen, it's their behavior in class. Like I'm telling you, like if you want to lose it with me, man, let them teachers come talk to me about your behavior. Like it's hard for you to tell me how much basketball that you want to do and how good you want to be. And we got to go have meetings with your teacher because of your behavior. The one thing I'll say about, all these guys I've had been really good players. I'm not telling you that they like school. I'll never sit up here and say all these guys like school, but they like basketball so much that school became what I have to do to play basketball. And so I always really evaluate young players, especially freshman players, on their approach towards their classroom. Like I'm not saying you got to be a straight A student. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean by is the teacher, when I contact that teacher, or the teacher and I are having conversations, they're going, hey, I'm not telling you that he's a rocket scientist, but coach, he gives the effort every day. He doesn't have zeros on his homework assignments. He doesn't bring his papers in wadded up and try to turn that stuff in. To me, if you want to be a great basketball player and you got to do your schoolwork, then you got to at least give the effort there. Because if you can give the effort there, then I know you'll give the effort on something that you want to do. And so that's a big part for me, evaluating those kids really as freshmen. Like I really watched them closely as freshmen in their classroom and how they handle their schoolwork and their approach to it. And if you can approach those things the right way, I think we can get you there basketball wise. But if you're slack with that, I just think you're going to be slack with us too, and I just think it doesn't work.
Period. Let me ask you this, Coach. You've been coach for a while. How does a player get exposed in high school basketball or even the AAU circuit? What do you think are some of the keys for that to happen? Is it a clip? Is it the hard work? We've seen a guy like, for example, Coach, this past summer, he blew up. Nazir Anderson was at Norcross, transferred to Prolific Prep. Just what's your thoughts on the exposure scene and how a player can get better exposed?
I think you got to be ready for the opportunities. I think when you're working and you're training and you're doing all of these things, you got to be thinking, like for my guys, and this is a true thing. We had a 2-week window. Those guys that played AAU all spring and did a solid job, with their AAU stuff. But I thought that, and I told them this. I said, guys, you got 2 weeks to make somebody like you. This is going to be the best platform that you're going to get where, sometimes at AAU, there's some really good players on your team, and you may not rank up as the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys on your AAU team. And so you may not get the opportunity on the stages in April as the NCAA has kind of changed the periods with exposure. And so I think that you have to be ready to capitalize on your moment. We talked about our guys about that the whole June. So everybody talked about how hungry our team looked in June. But all we talked about was this is your moment and you have to capitalize. Like there's no, man, next week, man, I'm going to go do this. Like, no, you got 6 games to show people that you can play. And you better take advantage of those and you better be working in March. And we talked to them March, April, and May about preparing for that 2-week period. And we spent a lot of time saying, hey, you've got 2 weeks. I don't know what everybody else is telling you guys. I don't know. I was a college coach. I got 150 emails with clips on them every day. So, man, I sent this email to this coach. They're not looking at that. I'm just hate to tell you, they're not looking at that. So I think being connected to people who college coaches respect via AAU and high school is a big part of it, and understanding who they really respect. I'm not throwing shots at anybody, but I just know there's a lot of people who say that they can do things that they can't do. And I think you have to understand the difference in that. And also understand that there's sometimes, like myself, I use myself for example, I probably say a lot of stuff that parents are not used to hearing. And if a parent runs from that, they're taking away the opportunity because, I do have the ability to pick up the phone and get college coaches to pay attention to guys that we have or other players. I recommend other players from other programs all of the time, especially coaches who I think do a good job. So I think being in the right program with the right coaches, taking advantage of your opportunities in AAU. And when you're in AAU, understand the coaches aren't really looking at the score of the AAU games. They're looking at your approach. They're looking at what you're doing. They're looking at your defensive rotation. They're looking at your rebound. They're looking at your attention to detail, your speed on your cuts. Can you fit in with my team? A lot of kids are like, oh, man, our team ain't no good. Ain't nobody looking at us. And I'm going, they're sitting on the sideline. They are paying attention. Stop playing the score. Play the opportunity. And that's the biggest part. For parents these days, I would hate to be a parent. My daughters play soccer. The basketball is so hard because there's so many people selling stuff that's not true. That's just the reality of it. Everybody's telling you, man, my kids right now on Gainesville getting calls from people, oh, we can help you get here. And I'm like, no. I don't necessarily think that's true. But that's what people want to do because they want to find players who are already established and good instead of saying, hey, we're going to take a kid and build him up and give him the platform. One of the things I think I've been able to do, one of the things I think a lot of the other top coaches, high school coaches do is they give them a platform that college coaches know when they come there, these kids are going to be coached the right way. They're going to be taught the right things. And they'll come in. We have coaches who just stop by and say, Coach, I've just known you for years, and we're just going to stop in and see what you got. We're not necessarily particularly recruiting anybody, but we want to just come and see are we missing something that you may have. And I think there's a number of coaches in Georgia who have the same thing that they can say and tell parents. And parents' biggest thing is, I want you to be the star. Man, if you look at the teams I've had over the years, even this year's team, man, we 8-9 deep with all these kids are college basketball players. So being a starter ain't the end all be all. It's about who you're practicing against every day. If you come to my practice when I was at Newton, there were 10 kids who were going to be college basketball players, and every day that it was like a war in there. We're getting that at Gainesville. Now you come in here and we got about 9 or 10 guys, and I think 9 or 10 guys have a chance to be collegiate basketball players, but that's what you're practicing against every single day. It doesn't do any good to average 30 points a game when you're practicing against, a kid that plays the drum in the band. Like, that doesn't do the same as it would be for a coach walking in and saying, hey, I stopped by Gainesville High School today, and this kid was playing against that kid, and both of those kids are college basketball players. I can evaluate that a little differently.
100%. Obviously, great answer. Got a response to Coach. They loving you being on here. This is a wealth of knowledge that parents and athletes need to hear. Great coach, great information. So I thought I'd share that as well. You're dropping some gems tonight. But Coach, I want to ask. Okay, so you gave a really good answer there. So put me on game because I want to know too. You have obviously a whole bunch of coaches that come, right? Check out your kids, see what they can do. What the ever-evolving high school and college landscape, I mean, coaches ain't really taking too many chances on freshmen. If they ain't ready, they're not prepared. They'll go hit the portal and fill out the rest of their roster, and it's big roster turnover right now. So what can a freshman do to be ready? Let's say they're not inside of a program like yours or in a better program in Georgia in order to be ready for the opportunity so they can play early.
Well, the very first thing, and we'll just a little tidbit about recruiting, is that when it's your opportunity in your life, you better take advantage of it these days. All this, man, I'm going to wait. I'm going to keep taking these visits. Like I had my kids, and I've always been this way. Steph Castle took 2 official visits, one to Auburn, one to UConn, and he made a decision. Ja'Kai Newton, basically the same way over the years. Because I tell these guys, like, man, college coaches, man, they feel very highly of themselves. And if you tell me you're taking 5 visits and I'm your first visit and you don't commit and you take another visit and then you don't, by the time you go to your 3rd visit, I'm not recruiting you anymore. And so I don't think that kids and families too, because like a lot of times the families get caught up and we're excited and we got all these visits planned. I tell my kids, hey, if you visit and don't commit, man, go and take that school off the list, bro, because they probably going to go bring somebody else in the next weekend and that scholarship isn't going to be there. Wow. And so even my 2 kids this year that made commitments, we got towards the end of July and they're telling me about these, man, I got this list. I said, man, where you want to go? And they tell me where they want to go. Make that your first visit. I said, make that your first visit, and you go in there and you really look at that. And that's where you want to, man, tell them coaches that's where you want to come, because the high school kids don't have that window anymore. They don't have the luxury of people sitting around waiting on you. I visited in September, but I'm going to tell you in November if I'm going to come to your school. Man, no, they're not. College coaches ain't doing that, because what they'll say is, man, I just got to wait till December and I can go get in the portal. So what I need a high school kid for at that point? So my biggest thing to high school kids is when it's your window and that coach is barking up your tree and they really want you there, hey, man, you better really, really look at that opportunity and say, hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and take this. Because what are all these extra visits going to really do? Like, everybody got a gym, everybody got a weight room, everybody got a cafeteria, and they all going to be really nice. So where do you want to go? When you make a decision where you want to go, man, go and tell that coach and get that out of the way before somebody else does, and now you're sitting there holding the bag. The second part of the question that you asked, what do kids do if they're not in that situation? Work, man, work and keep working and work hard and work when the lights are on and work when the lights are off and work when people are watching and work when people ain't watching, and any opportunity to go and compete against higher level guys. When you get a chance to play with the college guys in the summer, if you can find some professional runs, always go where you're the worst guy in the gym. I always tell guys, if you can go be the worst guy in the gym, go to that gym. And keep going to that gym till you move up that totem pole of players. If you're the best guy in the gym, you're in the wrong gym. And that'll be I'll tell any kid that, oh, man, I was killing today. We'll go to another gym then, because you shouldn't be. Because when you go to that college campus, unless you a special talent, a top 25, top 50 player in the country, even those guys ain't playing. If you go look in the top 50 guys, even those guys ain't necessarily playing. But if you're a unique player, a Stephon Castle, and Isaiah Collier, Colin Sexton, and Jaylen Brown, those guys are unique players, right? Those guys in high school could probably go to a college gym and maybe be the best player in the gym, right? But for the rest of us, which is 98% of everybody else, man, you need to go find a gym that you got to hold on to survive in that gym until you build your base and build your foundation of what you can do at a high level. And that would be my advice to maybe guys who aren't in programs that are pushing some of the agenda things that we're talking about right now.
100%. All right, Coach, we got to talk about it, man. Georgia high school basketball. Tell me about it. It feels like either every year, every other year, we're getting a lotto pick in, obviously, the NBA draft. I mean, you talk about Stephon, you talk about Collier, Ace Bailey this past year, Walker Kessler a few years ago. I mean, it's been going on and on. Tell me about the talent level you believe in Georgia, and if there's anything else that maybe needs to be done, more TV games, more exposure for the players, playing the championship somewhere else. Like, where do you feel like it's at right now, and what can be done to help improve it?
Well, I think it's in a great place, right? Like we lost a number of guys to out-of-state preps in this particular year, and so everybody was, man, Georgia's gonna be down. Georgia's gonna be down. Well, when I first 2 years at Newton, I thought that region that we played in was just a killer, and I thought 7A was a killer all the way around. Well, when I look up this year in 5A, I feel the same way. Like I'm looking at the level of players. All these guys got multiple Division I players. All these coaches have multiple. Some of these guys got multiple championships under their belt. And so I just think the state of Georgia is where I came from Alabama because I wanted to coach basketball in Georgia because Georgia always had really, really good high school basketball. I still think it's the same way. But the thing I think above everything else is that the schools in Georgia aren't just football schools. They're invested in their basketball programs as well. And I think that from a financial backing, what you see these programs are able to do with their travel, the teams are showing up, always dressed really nice. Uniforms are always nice. I think that has a lot to do with the appearance of basketball in our state. Like if you showed up and things didn't look the way, I don't think college coaches would be as adept as coming in and saying, oh, I'm going to come recruit these kids from this program, and the program doesn't look the part. I think all the coaches have done a great job of having their programs look the part. And I think administrations have supported that, as well. The other part, as far as a platform is you can go travel wherever you want to. You can go play where I've had different years where I've done a lot of traveling, but I've also had years when I've stayed in Atlanta and played in all the big time Atlanta events. And it's still brutal. I mean, it's still high level competition, high level players, high level coaching. And so I think Georgia basketball is still in a great position. I think with all the kids that kind of moved out, it just gave other kids opportunity to be seen on the platform. So now those guys are going to go do well abroad who left and went to different states to play, and they're going to do really, really well. But it's also provided some other avenues and doors for kids who may have been pushed down, may have been below 30 or 40 in the ranking. Now they're pushed up into maybe the top 20. And now all of a sudden that coach is like, oh, this kid's at 17 or 18. Oh, he's really, really good. And you may not have seen that before if all those kids had stayed in state. But I think that speaks to the credit and the depth of talent that we have here in Georgia, because a lot of the names you're like, man, you know what? I really didn't know that name, but wow, he's a really good player. I saw a couple of kids this summer that I didn't know the names, and I walked out there like, yo, he's a Division I player. And then 2 months later, they've signed the Division I schools. So I think Georgia's in a great spot. Can we continue to promote it better? Yes. Like I said, we're doing the Corky Kale and Peachtree TV is going to carry the games. I would love to see, like we kind of do with football, to have some Friday night games, televised. And I think that's maybe something that, maybe that's something we have to bring to the table as basketball coaches, and also continue to play those matchups. Like we put together good matchups. I think the television stations would pick those up because, again, you just named 10 guys who were lottery picks in the last few years that people would want to see. They want to see those kids in the state of Georgia. And so I think that may be the only, major thing that I would see, is that maybe we get a few more of these games televised. And then, with the streaming now, we probably don't get the crowd that we used to get at some of the major events, because everybody can now say, hey, I'm not going to the game. I'm just going to pay the $10 and watch it on streaming. And so, trying to get the crowds back to where they were. I mean, when Ant-Man and Steph and all these guys are playing, these crowds are crazy. When McKeitron had all of their guys, they had a crazy following every time they put up. Everybody wanted to see all of those guys play. And so I think that may be just, it's just a little bit different now in the new age of technology, where people can now, I can sit at home and watch everybody play, and I ain't never got to leave my house, and I can watch everybody play online. When I first got to Georgia, I followed Lewis Williams around like I was a groupie. I had a little map, and wherever South Cadet was playing, this is back when you just had to print the little Yahoo map out and get. And so you're finding the games, because you didn't have no chance to watch them play unless you found those games. And so I was guilty of that. I had a little map, and every Friday night my first 2 years here, I was coaching middle school. But if Sal Cornett was playing somewhere, or Tucker was playing somewhere, man, my face was in the place, and I'd find those gems. And I think that's the one thing we kind of lost a little bit with the streaming, is that you don't quite get the basketball junkies at all of the games, because we watch them from home now.
So let me expound on that a little bit further. Is there any way to alleviate that? Because like you said, I feel like the talent is here. Let's say we get more games, like you said, on the Peachtree Network, or we get more games on TV. How do we alleviate that, Coach? Because like you said, it's not the same, or the atmosphere. Like, give me an example. You coached the game, right? You was there. You guys played Wheeler on TV on ESPN. That crowd was crazy, Coach. Like, it was insane to see that game. So how can we get that? Obviously, we know those two powerhouses at the time, but how do we get more of that, would you say?
I think it's one of the things, and I don't know how it's going to be affected, because I think we're going to go to the power rankings next year. But I think just continuing to get the coaches to take the matchups. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, we're going to play this guy, and we're going to play him at. I know sometimes you don't want to go to a place and play because it could be a rival, or it could. But if Larry and them are having an event at Wheeler and they're bringing in teams and we got teams, you have to go there and play. But I think getting in places that can be centrally located. Atlanta traffic is a beast. Right. And nobody wants to fight that traffic. So trying to figure out, time, place, and situation where you ain't 2.5 hours stuck in traffic. I'm coming from the south side to the north side, or the east side to the west side. Man, I'm just not going to see that game on Friday. Because on Friday, you're probably not going to see it. It's crazy traffic. So trying to figure out some Saturday games, putting your better teams under one roof. And I know some guys are working, some promoters are working on doing those things. Just continuing to do that. I think the other hard part about it is, and this is just because there's only so many weekends, is that sometimes it gets split because two guys are having really good events on the same Saturday, which used to be like everybody kind of was like, hey, you got this Saturday and you got that Saturday. We have so many people doing and promoting events that I think is getting, I won't use the word watered down, because I think the games are still really good. I just think that the crowds are having to make a decision about where am I going to go and who I'm going to see. And I think a lot of times it's based on traffic, just to be, because I'm the same way. Like, oh man, so-and-so is playing. I can't make it over there. I can't make it over there, man. That's too much traffic. But I think we just have to just keep working on it, keep refining the process as we go. Continue to keep producing good players and good programs. And again, it's not like we don't have people at the games. These games are still very well attended. It's just that, back in the day, like you would go to those games and, man, if you ain't there at 6, you ain't getting there for the 7:30 game.
And then real quick, Coach, I want to ask you about just the prep sports essentially. And what I mean by that, just like you just said, it opens up opportunities for other players, but these players leaving for obviously these national circuits and some of the best players leaving to go somewhere else. You touched on it a little bit, but do you think there's anything you can do to kind of keep the players, some of the best players here, or no? What do you think about that?
All right, man. This is gonna be a little bit of a touchy situation, but I'll say this. I understand, with the transfer rule about, wanting to try to keep kids at home, and this is not a Coach Gibbons and a GHSA fight or anything like that. Because I actually kind of like the rule, because I think it makes kids have to lock in with you and you bring kids along and develop. So I actually kind of like the rule. I do, but this is a scenario, and I'll give this to you. A kid is in the ninth grade, and he's okay player, and all of a sudden, boom, he grows, and all of a sudden the family wants him to go somewhere else, and then he goes there, and then that coach leaves. Like, let's say I'm in Gainesville and these kids come to me and I leave, I go back to college. Well, if a kid transferred to me, he can't transfer anywhere else. And so where's that kid going to go? He's going to go out of state prep. And so if he goes out of state prep, that's Georgia losing another good player. So I think that, I just think we're in a catch-22 situation. But the reality of it is I think we're doing the right stuff to try to make kids stay at home, to give coaches a chance to coach them. I just think that in order for them to stay at home, the administration and Georgia High School have to continue to invest in basketball to make sure that the platform is there so that people can't come in and say, well, you're not going to get this look because you're playing the ABC. I think we have to continue to refine our summer events, continue to build those up so that kids can have the opportunities to be seen, because the reality of it is the NCAA has helped us out. They've taken it for the high school coaches, and there's only one event that you can be seen in the spring. They're giving us 2 periods in June, and then they're only giving them 2 periods in July. So the high school period definitely is important. We just have to keep refining the process, and then we have to keep building out our program so kids don't feel like I have to go to this program to be good. But that's also adding depth in your program, because if a kid goes to Prolific Prep, he's practicing against Division I players all day, every day, and that's going to help that kid get better. So building the depth in our programs is going to be important for kids to be able to stay home as well.
It is. Go ahead, Bacon. I mean, hey, look, Coach Gibbons been dropping gems all night, man. So he's been dropping the wealth of knowledge. Just want to let you know, man. But I'll go ahead and let you segue in.
I mean, I'm a listener now, Coach. Forgive me, you know what I mean. I was listening to Monica Kaufman. I'm over here. I'm alma mater, West Georgia. Now I couldn't walk out on her giving her gems. So forgive me for being late, Coach.
No worries at all. We all got stuff going on.
100%. Appreciate your understanding, Coach. But just touch on that same point. I don't want to get off the topic. You talked about doing more for our kids here. What exactly do you mean? I know you're at Gainesville. Y'all got top class facilities, but specifically, what are you doing more to keep kids here and stay instead of transferring out?
Number one is time. Like my kids, we have things set up, and the infrastructure is built in that my kids are with me for their weight training. And so that allows me to spend more time with that kid. So our relationship is a little more genuine. I see you every single day. Even if we didn't have after school workouts, I still have time to spend with that kid. So we have more of a genuine relationship. I think also, having access to your facilities. I know all coaches sometimes complain about their facility access with their kids. I think facility access is a very, very big thing, because I can't watch you shoot enough basketballs for you to be a great player. And if you're at my school and you want to be able to work out and you can never get in there except when we're practicing, I think that chases parents to other places. And I think obviously from a security and a safety standpoint, we have to do the things the right way to make sure that we're in line with whatever your county regulations or city regulations are. But I still think that we may have to make sure these kids have access, because basketball is a sport that needs to be worked on every day. You have to continue to refine your shooting and your ball handling. If you want to tell me Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I can get in the gym, that's not going to be good enough. And now if Prolific Prep comes in here and they tell you got access to the gym, 12 hours a day or 24 hours a day or whatever their gym access is, well, what kid and what family is not going to agree to that? We played Prolific Prep a couple of years ago. I don't think they do anything different than what a lot of the coaches in the state of Georgia do, except they have more opportunity to spend with their kids. I like the rule that Georgia came to, that we can do the 4-on-1s. I think that's a big rule and a big way to expand out so that we can spend that time in the off season and also the postseason with our kids. I think coaches have to continue to take advantage of that, like not just say it's a preseason thing. One of my kids will tell you the most. Coach is probably crazier after the season than he is before the season about the workouts, because that's how you get better. I want to build my kids up for AAU. I work hand in hand with AAU coaches to make sure my kids will show well when they get there. So I think us developing that marriage a little bit more. People don't want to have this conversation, but I think our AAU and our high school guys have to merge together and be on the same page, or we're all going to be losing kids. Because when a kid goes out of state, he a lot of times not coming back in the state to play AAU. So we've both lost the kid as it goes. And so I think us trying to continue to foster a relationship on both sides of the ledge. I've been fortunate enough to be able to have good relationships with you guys. I think some guys have a bad taste in their mouth because maybe a kid did leave their program and they could deem it on the AAU guy. But a lot of times the AAU guys ain't got nothing to do with it. It's the parents. The parents see stuff and like, yo, we're going over here because they're doing more workouts, or they have more access to the gym, or they're playing in the fall league, or whatever it may be. So I think just building our programs out and just giving our kids and showing the parents, we're giving them every opportunity for their kid to try to get better and have a platform to be seen by college coaches.
That's a thorough answer. Before I get to another topic, I want to stay on this one again. Now, I want to touch on the media side. I'm a big hoop head coach. You know what I'm saying? I'm always watching the content on YouTube. And we look at kids that go to Part of 6. You look at what's going on right now in Portland for prep. They bring in videographers, you know what I'm saying, that document the process. All that helps out their visibility. It helps out their NIL. We don't really see that in GHSA sports, football, basketball side. So, and I know the committee is strict on media, you know what I mean? So just what are your thoughts on that?
I think we have to do it the right way. I know that they do a lot of that. Okay, so a lot of the content that these guys push out, I know it's for the followers and it helps you with your NIL. And so I'm all for that. I got a daughter now who's a Division I soccer player, and she's working on her content stuff right now. And so I do think there's a place for that. I think if we as coaches, and I'll be honest with you, I am not the most versed in the field when it comes to that stuff. I think if we had more clear-cut, maybe rules about how it works, and then also more educational help for the coaches to understand how to better utilize. Because I don't think coaches don't want to do it. I think we all know that that's a necessary part of what we're doing. I think the content of understanding how to do it, what makes sense, what's just not fluff, like because you get hit by so many guys. Like if I put my email up, I got 20 guys contacting me, they can help me content create for my team. Okay, but what's real? Like who are the ones who can really help you do that? And what does real help really genuinely look like that's actually helping kids? If you're developing your following, you're getting your NIL ready or whatever, what is real and what's not, and being able to let us have more education on that. Because I'll be honest, I ain't the best at it. I have a lot of friends who are very, very good at it outside of the high school game that I lean on a lot. But that's me, and I do have a big web of people I can lean on. But there's a lot of other coaches who don't have that. And so I think from a GHSA standpoint, or from a GBCA, as we're working on our, what we're doing with our coaches meetings and different things like that, is really getting some really good concrete content for us as coaches to now go back and give to our kids and our families of what we're going to be able to do to help them sell the product, because that's what it's about. It's about selling the product at this point.
Absolutely. Just give my 2 cents if I can, not necessarily promote us, but you look at guys like Craig with Dre have done a lot of good things. I think just bringing somebody in with a platform that you just bring them in and just capturing whatever y'all got going on in practice. It's similar with if you've seen the doctor, simply capture what y'all do and just trusting that videographer to not put y'all out in an ill light and just show the rawness of the program. So it's a bad practice, it's a bad game. You know what I mean? I know you're in the moment, you're a little frustrated with the team. They may be outside the door, but I promise you that camera picks up everything. But I think the biggest thing is just trust between both parties.
I think so. And I think you said something that's key. I think what happens for us as coaches is that we see this videographer come in, and this is not a criticism of any videographer in particular. It's not. It's just a guy makes a video, the video comes out, and then the language in the video is something that a coach doesn't want on his site because everybody else is reading it. And so coming to that commonality of like, yeah, listen, I'm like the kids. I listen to a lot of rap music. That is the truth. Now, there's a lot of old rap music, but I still listen to a lot of rap music, right? And so finding that fine line between being hip and being current, but also the people who are donating money or NIL people, they don't necessarily want to hear that, and understanding what you're selling to. And a lot of times we don't understand that. Yeah, it's great for your friends to like it. They ain't giving you NIL contracts. They don't own car dealerships. They don't own businesses who are providing NIL opportunities. So that's great that your homie likes that they play the NBA Young Boy or whatever, whatever these guys are listed. That's wonderful. But whoever's probably on that car dealership, he don't want that on his site. And so understanding that marriage, I think, is the next part of trying to figure out with the videographers who you can trust, who understands what the content should really look like to truly gain opportunity for your kids and your families.
Well said.
Yeah. Coach definitely knows what we talk about. Before I get to your team, Coach, you're a man that's well connected and well respected. Me and Naj, we reside on the south side, up there in Gainesville on the hills. But when are we gonna get, I think they had some summer games down here, but when we're gonna get more consistent action on the south side for the South Side Hoop Stars?
Hey, now listen, y'all, my man Brad just put that fall league on, was the real deal. He just put the fall league on over there at Mount Zion, and we came down every other weekend to play. But man, and I told him, I said, man, you did a great job, because if you look at the field that he had playing over there every Saturday, man, it's state champions, it's Final Fours, and all the players played. Unless guys were on visits, you showed up and all their guys were playing. You didn't come in there like, we ain't bringing him down here to the fall league. He ain't playing in this. No, my guys was like, yo, I don't care where I'm committed to, coach. I'm playing. We got this guy this weekend or that guy this weekend. And so I think like what he's done with that is a very good lead to bring more stuff to the south side. And this is what people don't understand, because I've been on the east side for a long time before I came, north. And I thought the east and the south side had some of the best just natural talent, just the schools and the natural zones of what Jonesboro has had over the years, and what Sandy Creek has had, and what Newton has had, and like you just look at these level of schools, and Tucker and all these guys on the east and the south side. So I think maybe just continue to collaborate with each other, and coaches who are well respected getting together and say, hey man, I got a group of coaches that I'm really good friends with. I can probably pull them together. You got coaches you're really good friends, you can pull them together, and let's pull events. I didn't hesitate to come to the south side. They told us like, hey, we having this event. I was like, all right, man, it's an hour, 15-minute ride on Saturdays. Hey man, we got to get there. We got to be there. And we did it. And it was great. Like that's been the best fall league I've been in since COVID. Like COVID, we had the fall league up at Lake Point, because like nobody was playing. And so all of the top players played, up there at Lake Point during that time. But I think this is the best fall league I've seen since then, because like everybody played. Like Tri-City showed up with all their guys. With us, Columbia, Sandy, like everybody showing up with their guys. And so I thought Brad, and it wasn't even on campus. It was at a church. So I think it can be done. I just think it's somebody who's going to be respected, who's going to run it the right way. And I think Brad did an excellent job at that event.
100%. Again, Coach, appreciate you coming on, man. It's an honor to talk to you. But to get to your team, specifically the 2026, the man that's been blowing up very fast, Kevin White.
You got to repeat, Coach.
No, it's all good. KJ is a good enough player. He deserves to get talked about twice. There's no issues at all.
Sure. Go ahead.
No, I just we talked a little bit about it earlier. I was just telling him that I've had some small guards over the years. Like I had Tukey Brown, who was a legend. And I was able to get he and KJ in the gym together to just talk about what that looks like. I actually think, and I told him, even some schools have been in on the recruiting, and I said, hey man, you're gonna have a monster year. Like I'm just totally convinced by the work I watch him every day, he's gonna have a monster year. We got a really good basketball team around him. But it's nothing like that quarterback of that floor general that's connected with your coach to be able to go out there and really orchestrate your team. And I think he's really grown into that. I thought he was a really good player last year, but I think this year's going to be a really good leader from our team from a point guard perspective this year.
But you also got a lot of talent as well, not just him, but you got Charlie Gershman, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
Brandon Nelson,
Yep.
We all know what you've done at Newton, Coach, and we see the progression at Gainesville, but how far do you think this team can realistically go this year?
Well, I would like to not have got knocked off in the first round last year, so they had more playoff experience, just to be transparent. So I thought that would have helped us to make a little bit of a run for these guys to have some playoff experience, because there's nothing like the playoffs. But I feel these kids all play high level AAU basketball in the spring, so they've seen the top level competition. I think our schedules with Rival has been one of the top schedules across the state, and so I feel good about our team. I mean, it's going to take us. It's going to take us a little while to make sure that we're where we need to be. But I think that come February, a team that can pound it down inside and make free throws and defensive rebound on first shot attempts gives you a chance to make a deep run in the playoffs. Now, 5A is absolutely loaded. So the road that you may have, I mean, I remember being at Newton and we had Ace Bailey them in the first round, and you're going, golly, we were a 2 seed, one of the top teams in the state, and Ace walks in your gym with a chance for you to go home. So, I think it's kind of the same thing this year in 5A. But I do feel very good about our team because I think our guys were a little embarrassed by being knocked off last year. And that's not knock on Sprayberry, but I think that was a little bit embarrassing moment for our team and for where we were. And I think it made us have another level of seriousness about what we need to be doing and preparing for the season and preparing for each game. From an individual player standpoint, like I got to be more serious. I got to be locked in, and I got to be more accountable and more coachable as well. And so I think that kind of helped us get ready for the year. But we definitely do have a talented team of guys and guys who are bought in too. I mean, these guys are really bought in because you look at these guys, like they don't have to sit here and say, golly, man, I'm getting 5 shots here. I could go somewhere else and shoot 20 times. So I think that's a fair for kids knowing what we're trying to do with them, what we're trying to build out with them as far as getting ready for not only college, but for a playoff run as well.
And who's some guys that aren't on the radar, so to speak, that is going to emerge this year in your opinion?
Well, you mentioned Brandon Nelson. I think he's going to have continue to build and grow. I thought he had a really strong summer. I think Bryce Jackson here, he came in from Newton. I think he's going to continue to grow. I thought he had a good year there for them last year. I think, this year he'll be in an expanded role for us. So I think he's going to have a great year. Kevin Curtis has grown leaps and bounds. The big fella at 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot. He's grown. He's gained 10, 12 pounds the other day. We looked and we were on the scale. And so I think he's going to really help from that standpoint. We got another guard on our team, Sebastian Collins, who played a lot of backup minutes behind KJ, but they play very well together. Putting both of those little jokers on the court also give us an opportunity as well. And so, that, and I think I mentioned earlier, I got a freshman who I'm pretty excited about named Jackson Trammell. This will be a name people will know kind of moving forward. He's going to be a really good player. So we have those, and then obviously KJ and Charlie, they spearheaded in Quentin Mansfield, obviously being Division I commits, they spearhead that. But I'm excited about this group. Like I said, we got some young guys who are coming up that are freshmen that you'll see with us, and maybe not as much time on the court, but that you'll see with us, and they've earned the right to be there. So we're pretty excited about the depth of which we have in our program, even moving forward, even past this year. We'll be a little young next year, but I think people will be surprised at where we're moving with our program overall, even with this big senior class.
100%. 2 more questions. I'll throw it back to Naj. I think I was looking last year, if not this year. Kids love to come play for you, Coach. I think I seen, that Gainesville G and that Kyle said he transfer list a lot. So what does it mean for people to go out their way, allegedly, to come play for Coach Charlemagne Gibbons?
Well, let me say this, and people don't understand this. A lot of the kids whose families have come here, they've come here because I would coach their parents. And so I have a number of kids whose I have coached their parents, and they were like, Coach, what you did, forget the basketball. The basketball, what you did for me and how you held me accountable off the court. I want my son to have the same opportunity. And if he turns out to be Stephon Castle and be in the NBA, great, but he's going to work one day and have a family. And I think what you try to instill in these young men is a big part of why we were able to have families who wanted to move here to our place and be part of what we're doing. And then it doesn't help that Gainesville has a really nice setup as well. But I think that my investment in the kids' academics and what I expect for them to do in their behavior, they'll tell you, like, you can do a lot of stuff in basketball, but if your behavior ain't right, he's probably going to act a fool when it comes to how you should be acting in your classes and in the classroom. And we're all over. Like, my wife is the social media bloodhound. She's going, hey, look at what's posted, and we're big on that kind of stuff because college coaches are watching too. Network of family members or who are with me, my sister, my wife. They're very close, and they do a lot of stuff to support the kids off of the court, whether it's tutoring, whether it's behavior, whether it's public speaking. We do a lot of that kind of stuff too that people may not see. I know they see the workouts and they see the games, but we do a lot of other stuff with our kids to make sure that they're prepared both on and off the court, because everybody's not going to be a college basketball player, but everybody's going to go work and have a family.
100%. And last thing for me before I throw it back, just talk a little bit about your story. Obviously playing, I believe, coaching on the collegiate level as well. Just what's been the biggest thing for you, to get to this level, and how did you stay committed through the dog days of coaching?
My dad was a college coach. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty accurate on this. He was probably the first Black Division I basketball coach in the state of Georgia history at Georgia Southern. He also was part of breaking the color barrier at Georgia Southern. He and my mom were one of the first set of blacks to attend Georgia Southern during that time, and especially during that time when everybody else was, during segregation, you had to go to school up north or out west if you wanted to play basketball at an institution. It wasn't really allowed in the South, and Georgia Southern was one of the first schools that started breaking that. And so, just growing up in a household with a college basketball coach, I've been going on recruit trips since I was, third, fourth grade with my father. So that was a big part of it. And then just in my journey, like I always tell kids, like I was a good player. I chased it for a while. I was a good player. I wasn't Michael Jordan by any stretch of the imagination, but my love for the game, and my love for teaching the game. I say this all the time. Like, if you don't think you're a teacher, then you shouldn't be a coach, because you have to teach the game. Like, this is, I know sometimes you get some really kids who are really, really developed, but we still have to teach them. And I think every kid that's played for me will probably say, Coach taught me the game of basketball. Like, he taught me why we do things. He taught me this is the reaction for this is the reaction for that. And so that's probably the biggest part of my journey. I've been fortunate. I would like to hats off to all the administrations I've had, from Morgan County to Stars Mill to Newton High School here at Gainesville. Hats off to my administration, because I haven't had a bad job. Like, I haven't had a job where I'm like, man, they don't care about basketball. They don't care about the kids. Man, I haven't had that job. And so I know that there may be some guys who have experienced that. I haven't. So I don't think my downs or my rough patches in coaching have been as hard as maybe some other guys have. So I don't want to put myself in another guy's shoe who's had it maybe a little bit rougher than me. I did have a chance to go and be a Division I assistant in college. And, I know everybody thinks I can just go to college, but I think I've been one of the few guys who left a high school sideline and went directly to a Division I sideline and was in charge of recruiting and player development, and and was actually in there on it. So that was a great experience for me as well. I love high school basketball. I realized that when I got to college. That's probably why I wanted to come back. Because I got a family, right? I got a Division I daughter that plays soccer at the University of Cincinnati. I got another daughter who's committed to the University of Miami, and so high school allows me to spend time with them as well. I always tell my young coaches now, and because I got coaches who got kids, and like, how coach, I said, listen, your kid got something, man, go to your kid's stuff. Don't sit up here and act like this is the end of the world, and man, because you only get one opportunity to spend with your own family and your own kids. And so I encourage my kids, and I encourage all coaches to support their own kids, man. Trust your assistant coaches, build your assistant coaches and your staff up so that you have to be at a place to go support your kid, that you're able to do that, because that's one of the reasons why I came back to high school, because I sit there on Saturday mornings and Sunday afternoons when my daughters are playing, and I'm a parent and a fan of them. And I think all coaches should do the same thing. And college doesn't allow that. They're going to tell you in college they pay you enough money to let somebody else go watch your kids play. And I just don't believe in that.
100%.
Well, there it is. Obviously, great question from you, Bacon. Coach, we know it is a school night. We've had 4 hour 15, man. So we're going to let you go, Coach. Anybody you want to shout out, though, or any last comments or anything you want to say before we let you go?
No, like I said, I just want to give a shout out to, clearly my family, my wife and my sister and everybody who supports everything we do. And then all of the families and players that I've had over the years who've supported me and stayed with me. And, I just wish all those guys success as the season starts up. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity God blessed me with to continue to work with these young people every day.
Yes, sir. Coach, we appreciate it always. We're going to get you back hopefully before playoffs or during region play, man. We appreciate you coming on and bestowing us with the knowledge you had tonight.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate what you guys are doing for high school basketball.
Yes, sir. Anytime, Coach. Appreciate it. All right, guys. There goes Coach Gibbons, man. Wow. What an interview, man. Thoroughly enjoyed talking to him, man. Upstanding guy, man. And Bacon, he was dropping the gems.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch this.
Yeah, man. He was talking about like the high school, how you could be prepared. He was talking about his team, what he looks for. I mean, I feel like I learned so much tonight just from him alone. Just how to look at the game, how to get them more exposure, doing things the right way. He really broke it down.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. I didn't get the, tap in, man, and really, But I got some good perspective, how he feels about media. I feel like that was important. I'm glad I came in really at the second to best time. Y'all was talking about, going from kids transform from regular high school to prep. I feel that's a major that's a major concern right now. You know what I'm saying, for high school coaches, and he gave a pretty good answer. I mean, he's at Gainesville. We've seen those facilities documented. One day maybe we'll release. But I mean, you know what I mean. They aren't that far off, man. Like you said, man, they do the same thing. They do a prolific prep. I just think, like I said earlier, I just think it's just the media exposure. You know what I mean? You get a chance to go to different places. You get a full doc out of it. Hell, you know what I mean? Why not? And I get to play with Baron Fowler or Caleb Holt, or you know what I mean, brother down there in Prolific that's going to, I can't remember, but you know what I mean, they're so loaded down there. But yeah.
100%, man. But there y'all have it. Thanks everybody tuning in, man. Y'all ran it up. We got up to 16 people concurring at one time. So shout out to Coach Gibbons, man, and his following, and everybody that tuned in. Obviously, talk about the moment earlier, Morgan's moment. Her and what she had said earlier. This is a wealth of knowledge that parents and athletes need to hear. Great coach, great information. So we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Again, this platform we're trying to grow, and obviously basketball platform. Again, every Thursday night we live, so we're trying to grow this. Shout out to Coach Ferguson, Coach Wallace. We're gonna try to get another big time coach next week as well, man. I'm gonna work on that a little bit with a couple of my connections I got in the hoops world. So we're gonna try to do that next Thursday. And shout out to Coach Wallace because he helping us as well, trying to get kids and coaches on, because the season's basically here. I mean, you know, NBA is about to start up soon. College basketball's having their media days. They're only a couple of weeks away, and then high school is right around the corner. I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks at most. So it's gearing up, y'all, and we plan to cover as much as we can. It might be a little different because, like I said, we cover college basketball too. We're gonna talk about that a little bit here in a second. But you know, we cover Georgia Tech, so you know, some Thursdays it might be weird. We might have to do a later time, or Bacon might be solo with somebody else, or I might be solo with somebody else. You know, we might be tied up, but we're gonna try to do this every single Thursday for the season, all the way through. And again, we're gonna cover college basketball too, so y'all can look forward to that as well, man. I mean, we're gonna cover the tournament, all that good stuff, the big games of the week. So y'all stay tuned for that as well.
Yes, sir, man. So transitioning to some high school hoops news, man. Kingston Whitty of Holy Innocents has come in. I don't think he's at Holy Innocents anymore.
Christ School.
Where's he at now?
Christ School.
Christ School. What state is that? Florida?
I think he's no, he's in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Hoop state itself has committed to West Virginia, man. I didn't see this one coming. I know they got a coach up there. I'll get his name. That's been doing it for a while, man. Coach Javon Carter, one a very good role player in the NBA. But you know what I'm saying, brother, what's your initial thoughts to him going to West Virginia?
I think it's interesting. West Virginia doesn't have the same muster as it used to, as far as in terms of them having like Bob Huggins and having a phenomenal program back in the day. But it's a team that's growing, that's building, and you've seen the kind of growth of, you know, a Kingston Whitty over the summer, him getting bigger, faster, stronger, right? Formerly playing with Holy Innocents. And I told you, I was like, yo, Holy Innocents, if he's playing at this level, they could potentially repeat this year, right? Now, it's going to look a little bit different because they're going to have new players in. He's no longer there, no longer is Caleb. But I thought it was a great decision, you know, for him. I think a program he can go to and develop and obviously play at a high level. But this is what he had to say to West Virginia on SI. He said, Coach Hodge and the coaching staff were consistent with the recruitment throughout the process and explaining how my style of play fits into their system. During my visit, I had the opportunity to witness firsthand how intense and detailed the staff were in their approach to practicing and development, he said. For example, during practice, Coach Hodge broke down plays and gave immediate feedback to players. This demonstrated that this is definitely a place where I can continue to grow. I also, like the entire staff, believed in me, not only as a player, but also as a student athlete. The coaches emphasized high character and competitiveness, and those are the values that are important to me and my family. That is via West Virginia on SI, given obviously all the details there of Kingston Whitty's commitment.
I mean, that's it. That's it. When you evaluate recruiting at its finest, it comes down to these coaches, whoever connects with that kid the most, and you know what I'm saying, it all makes sense, but mainly just staying consistent, you know what I mean, doing the things that the other coaches aren't willing to do, that build relationship, build that rapport. It's ultimately what gives that commitment at the end of the day. Can he be flipped? We will see, because it's definitely we've seen crazier things happen, but definitely shout out to Kingston Whitty, his family, and everybody in North Carolina that's supporting the brother on his journey.
And as Coach Gibbons said here on the show tonight, if you got opportunity players, and he said it best, take your opportunity, man. Don't be scheduling 5, 6, 7 visits and all that. Go to the number one schools that you want to go to first. Like you said, a gym is a gym. A facility is a facility. You can see that anywhere. Go to the ones that really want you. And I think he said that best tonight. That really stuck with me in terms of the recruiting and the kids. I get all the lore and everything like that. But remember, there's limited spots, right? If you don't commit, you know what I'm saying, early on, remember, they can go get somebody else your scholarship. You're not waiting until November no more. He said it best today.
Go ahead and commit, get your spot. Worst case, if you feel different in the process afterwards, you can flip, you can decommit. There'll be other opportunities out there, but don't wait till the last minute. Oh man, where I'm gonna go. Like you said tonight, priority. If you get the opportunity, go ahead and do it. And in the process, if you want to change, then change. That is way better to do than wait, and get nothing.
Nah, that's a fact. That's 100%, man. These especially you get to go into all these different schools, and you may not have done your thorough research. You know, you just like the top two, and you go to a fourth school option. Now, these coaches are professionals. You know, they are professional salesmen, and they will sell you. They will sell you a basketball if you let them. You know what I mean? So you definitely, like Coach said, you know what I'm saying, go to those top schools you want to, and that way you don't feel like, you settled now, you're in the transfer portal, you didn't get no minutes. Now you got to go D2 in the IL JUCO. So, you know what I'm saying, do your due diligence because it is real out here. But in other news, man, we going to the top of the food chain, class of 2026. Let me share my screen. My bad. Tyron Stokes has been crystal balled by 247 Sports to go to Kentucky. You know, I mean, there were some. Well, he's from Louisville.
That was the rumor early.
That was a rumor earlier. So it's kind of been back and forth. I mean, you know, Coach Pope has been doing this thing, man. Been one of the coaches that really is hitting the recruiting scene heavy. So I hope he goes to Louisville. I just like the story they got going on, and it's from their hometown heroes. You know what I'm saying? Fun fact: Monica Kaufman is from Louisville as well. But you know, I mean, just what was your thoughts when you seen this news, my friend?
I thought it was interesting. Greenlight Media really said it best in terms of it. I believe it was him. Apparently, they're trying to get. I think it's 3 guys in that new trio that Mark Pope is trying to get. I believe, but you know, the fact that they got into this race because he was leaning towards Louisville at one point, I think is big for Kentucky. And Mark Pope's doing an outstanding job. You know, just in terms of the recruiting level, how he's bringing these guys in. I mean, this is big for Kentucky and what they're trying to do. We know they just got Jasper Johnson. He's expected to have a big time freshman year. You know, this is a program that everybody thought was going to fall off when Pope came in, but they've continued. They were a good team last year in the SEC in basketball, right? This is a team that took that next step forward and made the tournament, made a little bit of noise. So, you know, I think that stands out to recruits. And you got the best basketball player in the country, and I think he's supposed to commit tomorrow. I think per Joe Tipton of Rivals. So, I mean, that's massive, man, and that's a big time recruiting job, obviously by head coach Mark Pope. Head coach Mark Pope. So, yeah.
Facts, and you know what I'm saying, to double it all up, you know what I mean? Baba Olatunde, Maryland is on OV. Is it this weekend?
Yep. Set to take an OV. Yep, I put that in the notes. Yep.
I mean, what more can you ask from Coach Mark Pope, man? That was my biggest question mark when to let go of the goat out there in Kentucky, Coach Calipari. Can he keep up? You know what I mean? Can he keep up what Coach Cal had done out there? Because he's spoiled. You know what I mean? Top class. If he can get Tyron Stokes and bring Baba in, man, you know what I mean? They don't forget about Coach Calipari. Just being honest, you know what I mean? Because when you're doing a good job, you know what I mean, you're keeping the standard the same, or you're resetting the standard, similar with Coach Kelly and the board. I know this is a basketball topic.
Great point. It's a great point. I like how you segue that.
Mm-hmm. I've been learning from the best. I've been watching you, brother. But we see Coach Kelly and the boy, Xavier Crowell, Cedarian Morgan have all shut down their commitments. So I mean, that's getting the job done. You know what I'm saying? If you can get the recruits, Coach Mark Pope is doing and seems to continue to build on. I mean, he shouldn't have to work as hard, and I don't want that to come off wrong. But you know what I mean? Once you kind of set that standard, you know, I'm going to play for Coach Pope like that. Like I said, I'm going to play for Coach Calipari, so it's going to be interesting. But again, my question for you, brother: do you think, because you've seen Baba play, do you feel like you know what I mean, he fits in that? And it seems like Coach Pope plays more like a triangle type of offense. So do you think Baba can fit into that offense seamlessly?
I think Baba is one of those rare players who can fit into practically any scheme. I think he's that special. In terms of how successful he'll be that year, I'm not sure. Like, let's say he goes and he commits there, right? I don't know how much he will see the field next year. Only reason I say that is because he reclassed. Remember, he's a 2027. Reclass to 2026, right? So sometimes, like, your body, like, even though you reclass, your body might not be ready just yet, right? Or you might have to get adjusted to the game. Now, he's an elite player. We've seen him hit a buzzer beater game winner a few years ago in the EYBL. Right, so we know the kid can play. Obviously, top player for a reason. Number one player in the 2027 class before for a reason. But I do think he would be able to fit that system. I think they will find ways to get him the ball. Probably have to put on a little bit more mass, but his ability to defend at a high level, to be a scorer, I think is big. But the key thing too, and I want to segue this back in with Coach Gibbons, is everyone thinks it's about scoring. Everyone thinks it's about being able to score 30 points per game. Yes, that's nice, but like he said, it's being able to make the hustle plays, rebound, defend, set up an offense, run an offense. Like, I think players have to realize that. Yes, the points, the highlights, all that are good, but as he said tonight, the character, right? Being able to play 110% effort every single time out there. That's going to take you a lot further than scoring 30 points per game. Because think about it. You're an elite player in high school. You're getting all the shots, as Coach Gibbons said tonight. When you go off to that school in college, you ain't getting them 20 shots no more, right?
No.
You get them 25 shots you was getting. You might get, if you're an elite player, you might get 7 to 10, right? You might get 5 to 7. That's a big wake-up call. So I think sometimes players have to adjust to that. But I do think Dabo will be fine. I think he'll adjust it just fine at the next level. But I do think he will have to be cognizant of that. He might not get the same touches or looks that he got maybe that previous time in high school. Because as Coach Gibbons said, you're back at the bottom at the totem pole. Now you got to reprove yourself again, right? And that's kind of the cycle, right? We're going through it now. Bacon, like, I wouldn't say we was ever at the top of the totem pole, but we was growing, moving up. Now obviously I'm independent along with you. You obviously here. I'm trying to pick my way up there. You feel me? You feel me as an example? Like, you try to kind of stand your brand out. Yes, people know who Najee is, or a good amount of people do, but at the same time, now you're trying to differentiate from. Think about it, Bacon. You're trying to differentiate from a brand, right? So I associate with score, like Najee Wilkins score. So now I'm trying to basically appropriate myself from that and have my own. Okay, Najee Wilkins, Najee Wilk. Oh, I know who that is, right? Same thing. You have to find a way to kind of differentiate yourself. So same thing. You're going to have to go to that next level and be able to do that if you Baba. I think he'll be fine. But like I said, with a lot of college kids, just being okay with not having that same level of production maybe you had in high school. It's levels to it, man. It takes time.
Nah, I'm saying cutting off that umbilical cord, brother. I think you know what I'm saying? It's a process, brother. You know what I'm saying? We know it's gonna come, brother, but it just you know what I mean? No one knows God's timing, but hard work, consistency. What's the Denzel Washington quote? Without something you never start, but without commitment, or without commitment, you'll never start. Without consistency, ladies and gentlemen, you will never finish. And that's why consistency is key. You know what I mean? But we won't get off into a live tangent, man. We're gonna segue back into basketball, college basketball, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, brother. I watched the first 15 film. I feel like I got it good enough, you know what I'm saying? Take on that first 15 and give people an entertaining segment. We'll see if you watch the first 30. But preseason top 30 seniors in men's college basketball, ladies and gentlemen. And let's see them start. First and foremost, before we get started, Bruce Thornton, I believe, should be maybe three to four paces higher. Brother's got a complete game. For the Georgia viewers they're watching, they definitely know it, which is why I think Andy Katz had Ohio State top 5 team that's gonna resurge and surprise this year. Last year they had Michie Johnson. Surprisingly, obviously they didn't have the season they panned out to have, so he transferred to South Carolina. But Bruce Thornton should be higher on this list, and there's somebody else, but Braden Smith. Man, I can't think of a better shot maker in college basketball right now. You know what I mean? I think shooting 38% from three. You know what I mean? Capacity, high energy guy. I think it's going to be star at the NBA level, despite what other opinions are. Let's see. It's somebody else who just transferred in from UAB. It might be Richie Saunders going to be. No. It's not Richie. I think it's Yaxel Landenborg. You don't know who that is from UAB last year. I know my Birmingham people know. Jason Tatum. Flat out Jason Tatum. Argue with your mommy, or you can argue with me in the comments. We'll go back and forth respectfully. But Richie Saunders is another shot maker, just like Braden Smith. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't really put the ball on the floor like that. Runs off screens, pin downs, whatever you think. But sharpshooter, man. I think it's going to be a big piece to go alongside AJ DeBonza. Donovan Dent, special 2, Zuby, edge of 4. It's going to be a big piece for Coach Patino at St. John. I think they're going to have a top unit this year. But don't let me talk about this whole list. You know what I mean? Nate Biddle too. Nate Biddle at 15. You know what I mean? A stretch for a big, you know what I mean, at the next level. I really like, you know what I'm saying? When you turn on the film, you think, slow, clunky. But the brother can spray it from outside. Loves the corner shot, you know what I mean? Aggressive on the defensive end, shot blocker, you know what I mean? A rebounder, you know what I mean? Should be a double-double machine this year for the Ducks. But I'm you know what I'm saying? Pocket pass to you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Who else stood out to you on this list? And should anybody else have been moved up?
Yeah, I'm going to go Jacoby Gillespie of Tennessee. He should have definitely moved up. He came over, transferred from Maryland. Averaged 14 points per game this past year, 4.8 assists. It was third team All Big Ten. He's a guy I think is going to play a big role, and it's kind of a homecoming for him. He's always wanted to come back to Tennessee and always wanted to play for that program. So having him and Rick Barnes in there, they got Ethan Butler-Bird, they got obviously the true freshman everybody is salivating over, and Nate Mint, 37 NBA scouts. I think it was to see them, or it might have been 20. It was either 37 or 29 NBA scouts came to see him for the pro day, which is crazy. Season haven't started, or we got that many in to see Nate Mint. That says a lot, in my humble opinion. But he's a guy I think that's going to run the show for them offensively. We'll see how the rotation looks, but he's going to play obviously a big role for Rick Barnes and what they're doing this year. A guy I think that should definitely be rated a little bit higher, easily in the top 10 in my humble opinion. A guy that can really play at a high level, and you're going to see that this year with how good Tennessee is going to be. I'm with you with Bruce Thornton. I think he should move up obviously a couple of spots. We see what he's been able to do, played at Milton High School. He's continuing to get better and better. I think it's a big senior year for him. If he has a big year, that you can see him get drafted in the NBA draft, obviously next summer. So big year coming up for him. We know we can put the ball on the floor, run the show, defend at a high level. Another guy that's really good. Bennett Sturts is kind of a sharpshooter extraordinaire. A guy, he's a little high at 2. I'll put him maybe top 5, top 6. Guy is average 19 points per game. So he knows what he's doing, 5.7 assists, 4.3 rebounds. And a big year coming up for him. And obviously Iowa is a guy that we talked about that could maybe be in play for Georgia Tech, obviously in the portal, with just his shooting prowess and what he can do. But he'll have a big year, I think, for Iowa this year. Definitely one to watch moving forward as well. Otego Uwe, I think, is another guy. Last year, he was a big impact player for Kentucky. 14 is a little low for me there, too. I would move him up a little bit. I think with the experience, him knowing his role, how he fits into that Kentucky offense is a kind of a two-way player, being able to hit those big-time timely shots he hit all last year. He's a guy that should be ranked up, I think, a little bit higher as well, what he could do and bring to the table. So he's another guy I feel like should be ranked a little higher. And very underrated is Alex Caravan. Just been very consistent, obviously at UConn. He's been doing it for years. He's a big part of the 2-time national championship teams. Another guy I think should be able to have, a big year for the Huskies this year. Maybe I say like a top 15 player to watch for. The big one is, how good will USC be? Now, a name is Chad Baker-Mazar. Remember, he played for Auburn last year with Tahad Pettiford, obviously, and all those guys. Broom as well. Johnny, I think Johnny Broom, I think it was.
Yeah, you're right.
Johnny Broom. So, he has the experience, but this is it for him. This is last year. So how do you finish out? If I was him, I probably would have stayed with Auburn, but, we'll see how he obviously tapers out. But he's a guy, another high volume scorer, a guy that can definitely be a difference maker for you when he comes on the court. And the last one I want to mention, 3 players on this list from Purdue, right? So very senior laden team. That's another thing that obviously stands out to me. Guys, they following year, obviously, with the program. Can Purdue finally, like we've seen them get into Final Fours. We've seen what they've been able to do with guys that are elite under Matt Painter. Can they take that next step forward? I said 2. I said 3. It's 4 seniors on this list from Purdue. This is the year you got to do it. If you're going to win a title, this is the year to do it. You got a very experienced team. You got a good mix of youth. This should be the year you take that next step.
No, 100%. I agree with you, brother. I was trying to see if I knew anything on Malik Thomas at Virginia. I don't think I know him, though. But I would also – I want to get your opinion on number 3 to number 4. Trey, number 4, post player. And I'm sure you watched this film, man. Dominant, man. I don't think Tim Duncan a lot when I see a lot of post players, but Tim Duncan came across my mind. I want to know, when you watch this film, did you think Tim Duncan?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely could see some similences in that game. His ability to put his back to the basket, old school style game. You don't always see that no more. You see a lot of shooting, perimeter shooting, but I like he has kind of an inside out game. And he's a guy I like that'll be good for Purdue because sometimes they've struggled with on the perimeter. Sometimes you just need a bucket to stop the run, right? And you got a guy that you can get the ball to in the block, and he can go get a bucket for you. He can low post and get to the cup, right? Can finish through traffic. I think when you have that in your Purdue, that's something you can lean on when it's struggling on the outside. So I think he's a guy definitely can see the semblances of a Tim Duncan for sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want further on the 30, you can watch the film yourself. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, this is a quality list, though. This is a quality list, but definitely, I think you brought up a good point that Ortega Uwe should definitely been high on this list, man. He does a lot with the basketball. You know what I mean? Put the ball on the floor, passing it, scoring the basketball, like you said, big buckets last year for Coach Pope and the Wildcats. So great point by you. But let's see. All right, man. It's some. So, brother, I'm gonna defer to you, man, because I know you wrote some articles for All Yellow Jackets on SI about Georgia Tech at ACC Media Day for basketball. So, starting with the boys, you know what I'm saying, what did you learn? You know what I'm saying, what information did you gather?
Yeah, man. So nothing really too crazy, man. Remember, he had that kind of preseason media availability, so it was basically the same thing, bro. He talked about obviously, this team taking that next step forward, what he was going to have this year. Talked a little bit about Bai, talked a little bit about Kwesi, and him coming back, being kind of that leader for the team this year. But the main thing he said was the freshmen kept that same sentiment, kept that same about Muhammad Silla being one of the best freshmen in the country and probably a lottery pick next year. He's kind of still on business with that. He obviously talked about Bay Dongo and his ability and him being a double machine and what he can bring to the table. So that sentiment kind of remained the same with him. Nothing really too different. And this is him via obviously the quote. He says, "I think we have a couple of freshmen that will impact from day one. I think that both of these guys will say that Muhammad Silla to me would be one of the best, freshmen in the country. I think that he runs like a gazelle. He gets up and down. He's really strong. He can rebound. He can block shots. Probably the only reason he wasn't in the McDonald's games, in the hoop summits, and all these different things because he got over here so late. So he's barely been in the States for a year. I'm looking forward to having him have an impact on our team, which is collective energy that the freshmen have. And I remember when I was in college. So, I mean, it goes to show you right there the belief he has. And we know about Akai Fleming, Eric Chatfield, Brandon Storrs, Cole Kurok. Like, we know about these guys. I think the most impactful is going to probably be Silla and Akai, in my humble opinion. We'll see what Storrs is able to do. He got a lot of wings, Lamar Washington, Chaz Kelly, right? Cam Kraft. But I feel like Akai and Muhammad is the two guys I think is going to have big impact this year for Georgia Tech. Speaking of, real quick, I did a poll. Asked a bunch of the writers there for Tech. I'm not going to reveal no names. Not revealing no names. Nobody believes this team's going to make the tournament. I'm one of the select teams. I believe you think the same, but everybody was like, I got to see it first. I don't even think they're going. He was like, yeah, if they get 15 wins, sure. All right. But that is everybody's sentiment. But I'm like, their schedule is not the toughest thing in the world. So, I mean, they got to win their games. Obviously, they got Duke at the end of the year, but why can't this Tech team take that step? But they don't believe it. I think when you can recruit talent, it's just about getting it to play on the field or on the court, on the hardwood, right? And I think they're kind of, I don't want to say lowballing, but I don't think they really believing in the sauce of Denman Stoudemire. I think this team is way more talented than they even had last year. And I know people want to see him coach it and they want to see him win games and don't lose the games you're supposed to win, but he had the same trajectory as a Coach Key, right? Coach Key went 7-6 2 consecutive years, and Tech's now taking that step forward year 3. They had big upset wins, right? Miami, Clemson, North Carolina. A couple years ago, they upset North Carolina. They beat Louisville, a team that they didn't think they would beat. They were on the road. They beat Clemson, who was ranked at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're seeing the same ingredients, and then with a better roster, freshman that's going to be ready to play, hitting the portal and getting the pieces you need. Top 8 recruiting class currently right now in 2026.
Come on now.
I don't know, bro. It's like, come on. Like, I think this is the year they make the tournament. But what do you think?
Hey man, they gotta wake up and smell the honeycomb, man. They need to bring my guy back on the Honey Nut Cheerios, a little Buzz. They need to bring Buzz back. They'll play on words there, but now I think this team is I'm working on a little piece. We're on a little piece right now, man. I think this team, as I've said before on the show, Georgia Tech should be a Sweet 16 team. You know what I mean? No matter how you chop it up, chew it, and spit it out, like you said, the season's not as favorable. They're going to play Mississippi State. That's going to be a big test. And you know the gauntlet they're going to run through in the ACC, playing North Carolina, playing Duke, playing Louisville, NC State. So I think I gotta look at UNC a little closer. But you know, what I mean, we know Caleb Williams is out there. But I'm gonna say UNC is winnable. Duke, I got Duke. Duke should be. I think every ACC game, I don't care how high they're ranked, they should be competitive. Hopefully, they should. Well, they're going to play them in the second half of the season, right when the conference play starts. So, but like you said, man, they got a squad, man. Cam Craft, watch out. That's going to be probably the biggest star on campus, probably next to Mo Silla, and obviously Guy. And let's say Kalofi Reed, man. But Cam Craft's gonna be that guy for sure. But Sweet 16, no question, bro. No question.
Oh, no one thinks that either.
Hey, man, that's you know what I'm saying. That's why, you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to stand alone and be like, you don't know what to talk about. Then when they pop up, you know what I'm saying. It's gonna age like fine wine, man. We're gonna sell it for $100 a bottle.
I'm dead.
Nah, for real. But nah, I mean, but I see to your point about the guys, man. Georgia Tech hadn't been good in a while, man. Basketball, you know what I mean. You know, it like for me in football, college football, you know what I mean. It's a lot of things you got to learn how it works. Just mean, you know what I'm saying, knowing it, you know what I mean. And you know what I'm saying, Damon started when I came off the Boston Celtics coaching staff, but Ime Udoka. You know what I mean? You got connection, like you putting off these West Coast connections. You know what I mean? As you saw, what's his name from Santa Margarita, just committed after Jalen Wingfield.
Caden Bailey.
And when you look at the Mo Silla commitment, these are big time. Like you just don't get no fly by like those come in and pick that up. And I think my bad, brother. I'm out here messing up the motion. And when you look at help me out, bro. Look at and when you look at Mo Silla, to your point, man, I think if he plays McDonald's All-American, we may not see him at Georgia Tech. He's really that talented, and I think he possibly be a one and done type of player. But nah, I mean, I agree with you, brother. You know what I mean? I'm surprised the guys ain't believing, man. That really hurt my heart, bro. That hurt my heart.
It's tough, man.
But it is what it is. But we will digress and continue to move on. Oh well, Coach Karen Blair, man, what did you learn about the women's side?
Same kind of thing, man. You know, kind of mirroring the same sentiment she had in her preseason. Big focus of hers was kind of getting the talent home, right?
Yeah.
Same thing they were seeing with Coach Damon Stoudemire, same thing we seeing with Coach Key. A lot of players came back home. Catherine Albin, Inez was obviously a big player for them. But getting players to come back home and families can see them and getting them obviously to buy in. Big thing she was saying was defense. They want to disrupt people and they want to rebound at a high level. And I know also in the preseason availability, she's talking about pushing the pace, being to get out, obviously, you know, as well. And then she mentioned kind of the camaraderie with the ACC coaches as a good thing. You know, if she got any advice, she's talking about the good advice that they gave her. But I think she'll be just fine. She came from Big Ten, played obviously with Maryland. She's doing also a pretty good job with her recruiting. I know to get it better and better. I think they got the right coach for the program. If I had to be honest with Karen Blair, you know, it's just going to be able to see how it all meshes together, the young talent with the transfers and everything in. But same kind of a thing, man. A team that wants to defend at a high level, rebound, push the pace and tempo.
Nah, absolutely, man. I think Georgia Tech basketball, male and female, is in good hands, and it's time to get in early now, man. If you you know what I mean, if you want to get season tickets, it's time to get in early, man. Because when you wait too late, you got to pay the cost. And yesterday's price is not today's price. Spread the message. But we're going to transition into WNBA, man. How about, you know what I mean? How about Asia Wilson, man? Game with them girls. Phoenix Sun, you know, Phoenix Mercury came back. She said, not today. You know what I'm saying? Putting on that crown again and walking them off, man. One game away.
Yeah, how about her? It goes a little bit unnoticed too, but how about Jackie Young?
Jackie Young, yes.
In her performance in the game. She scored 30 points too. And Asia went off. She went 34 points, 14 boards. I think she had 4 blocks. But great job just not, wavering in that moment. They went on a 17-2 run. You had Alyssa Thomas hitting shots. You had DeWanna Bonner hitting shots. And they could have easily given up in that moment. The crowd was behind them. The crowd was going crazy. But I mean, that's an incredible shot. Like I said, like her being basically doubled at the end, still being able to get the shot off. It was an incredible shot by Asia Wilson and showing why she's the MVP, about showing why she's one of the best. I think Bacon is saying now one of the best to ever do it. I think she's in that conversation. I think she's a 3 or 4 time MVP. She's about to win another championship. A year that was a little bit tumultuous for them. They weren't very good to start the year, and they had to get it together and figure things out. And to be at this point up 3-0 with a chance to win, that's incredible. And that was the 4th shortest odds, I believe, or 4th shortest time that was left in the game. They hit a game winner in WNBA Finals history at 0.3. So shout out to her, man. I mean, that's not easy to do. Game on the line, your coach Becky Hammond trusting you, giving you the rock, and you delivering for your team.
Yeah, definitely another shout out to Coach Hammond. You know what I mean? From that Coach Popovich tree. You know what I'm saying? Doing her thing, man. But you got Edge Wilson, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's hard. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's easy. But give it a 2-2, she's gonna deliver every time, brother. And then you got Jackie Young. What game 2? What she had 21 points in the third, 27 points in the third quarter. You're dealing with a lot when you look at the Las Vegas Aces. You never know who's gonna get hot at the right time. Yes, Asia Wilson struggles at the free throw line, but she got the heart of a champion. And you know why she got the heart of a champion? Because she played for Don Staley. Come on, she's a statue. You see the same shot every time, every year. Who's going to be that lady that steps up and, you know what I'm saying, takes the crown? We'll see. You know what I'm saying? You got Juju coming in, you know what I'm saying, in a couple. Some people think she's going to play one more year. I don't know if we talked about it, but some people think she's going to stay an extra year because she's not going to play this year. We'll see. I'm going to go get that bag. You know what I mean? I know what I can do. I mean, even if I got, because you come into the W, like look at Cam Brink, slow start. You know what I mean? Paige, she's different. But you know what I mean? I'm gonna go get that bag, brother. You know, I'm trying to get that Caitlin Clark money if I'm Juju. But that's another discussion for another day.
Very true.
I didn't add this to the list. You know what I'm saying? If we don't know too much on the topic, we definitely can transition. But I know Nafisa Collier, she came out and spoke about the officiating. You know what I mean? I believe
all over
it. I think the WNBA GM or chair stepped down and the next couple of days. So yeah, brother, I'm pretty sure, but we'll keep it because we don't know enough about that topic. We'll just what are your thoughts about the Nafisa Collier? You know what I'm saying, coming in and stepping up and calling the referees out on the red carpet.
Yeah. I think you might have messed up the names. Responsible. Yeah, I know she called out the Charlotte. She called out the commissioner, Callie Engelbert. Yeah, she called her out for them just not having, like, I guess you could say a sense of direction, especially with what's going on currently right now in the league and everything like that. I think it's just it's players that are tired of seeing the same thing. They want to grow. Obviously, salaries have went up. They're getting more TV deals and stuff like that. But at the most of change, you got to have right leadership. And I don't feel like they have that. And she hit direct. And I believe her. I believe that she said it about Caitlin. What she said about her, she wouldn't be making those kind of deals if it wasn't for us, which is false. She was been making those deals even in college. I agree with a lot of things that she said. And you have to have forthcoming, and people with a vision, foresight to be able to lead you. And if you don't have that, if you don't have good leadership, I think it says a lot. And I know Stephen A. came out and said she needs to resign. I know other ones as well, because when you don't have the respect of the players, or even the highest ranking one, because I think she's like the president of the WNBAPA, says a lot. She's did that on publicly. Definitely says a lot. Now she said she's not going to back down. Obviously, she's a very successful businesswoman. Obviously, we know business that goes hand in hand with being a commissioner because you're helping get those deals and stuff. So we'll see how she responds to it. Obviously, she's already came out with a response. Malika Andrews asked her some questions and stuff like that, direct and to the point. Didn't play no games with her, but we'll see how it emerges. Because I mean, a lot of that, like right now, the focus on WNBA finals. But I feel like once the finals is over, it's going to be a direct shift, like to that. like directly going to be like looking directly at that and seeing what they can do in order to alleviate that, or not, they can get locked out.
Yeah, we don't want to. We don't. That'll be bad. Now it might be good. Now if they're going a little lockdown. You know what that open the doors for, brother?
That new league Unrivaled, I think.
3v3 Unrivaled, man. I didn't get to watch this as close as I like to, but when I tuned in, brother, I was locked in. So you know what I mean, and then that just gives an opportunity for them to continue to expand. They shot through the roof with the ratings and the numbers and the pay. I like to see a lot more behind the scenes, like bring in a documentary guy. I mean, we need to see what's going on as much as within the WNBA guidelines. And then, fun fact, I didn't fact check this all the way. I might have seen this on a credible source, but I believe it's Nafissa's grandfather was in civil rights, something like that. So it's in the blood. You know what I mean? Somebody can look that up. I'm like 95% sure that is a fact. But that's all we got for WNBA news. And now we will transition into NBA basketball as we come to a close, man.
Check the chat real quick.
All right.
Private chat.
All right. All right. Yeah. All right. 100%. So Victor Wembanyama went monk mode. You know what I'm saying? Went monk mode literally. A guy with the Shaolin monks worked out with Hakeem Olajuwon. Man, ever since I've seen them lose at the Olympics, and we started crying. Like, yeah, man, the league is in trouble, and I didn't expect this to come. But do you think Victor Wembanyama wins MVP this year?
I think he can definitely be in that conversation. Obviously, he's grown 2 inches. I don't know if you heard about that. He's 7'5" now. Yes, he is 7'5". He's grown 2 inches. I don't know. Yeah, good luck. I feel like he has the talent to do so. I feel like he's a player that definitely can take advantage and do that. But the key is you have to be the best player or one of the best players on the best team, right? So, okay, to win it, I don't think they have to necessarily be a 1 seed. I think they have to be in that playoff conversation, though. Right, like they got to be a top 4, top 5 seed. You got to be in there. I think you got to avoid a play-in. You got to be a top 6 seed, bare minimum, right? And the Spurs got to be competitive in order for him to have a realistic chance of winning MVP. Very possible, but what steps forward does he take? Now, he did really good this offseason because I know this is the next topic. We'll go ahead and segue into that. He integrated Tai Chi into his basketball training, similar to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, what is Tai Chi? I know some of y'all might ask. It's basically it's a form of just self-discipline and obviously martial arts, being able to, I'm dead. I'm basically being kind of locked in with your inner self to a degree. So I love that he was able to do that 10-day spiritual retreat. And sometimes you see guys do this to take the next step in their careers, right? And I think we're seeing that, right? Some of the activities, meditating, training with monks, engaging in the discipline of the Shaolin life, shaving obviously his head as he did, wearing monk robes. So I think he's trying to tap in with his greatest inner self so that he can see that obviously on the court. Sometimes, we've seen it even with Luka. Some of these players, I'm not trying to call them out, but you'll come over here and you'll get Americanized, right? Yep. And you won't be as locked in as you maybe were over there, right? We've got on him numerous of times about complaining about calls, not playing defense. So I think it signifies a lot. Not saying that San Antonio is bad. That's a pretty good culture in the program. NBA program down there, but I think he's trying to stay tapped in with, okay, why am I here? What am I trying to accomplish? And let me stay locked in and refocus on what's really important. And I think that's what it was about. And I think with that, I think he can definitely win an MVP, especially with all the work that he's put in, him refocusing back into what's most important, and obviously using that as a way to get locked back in.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it. I feel bad for anybody that's got to guard him this year over the course of 82 games. Look like they're going to play all 82 with this new regiment. But, Luka looks good. I should have put it on the list. But, we're going to fast track to LeBron, man. What did you think about the pump fake, man? I really thought LeBron was going to retire. He talking about whiskey.
Yeah, bro. He got everybody. He's actually being sued by a small claims court. Somebody had bought tickets, I think $986. But yeah, he got a lot of people. I think the final game for the Lakers got shot up too. It was like $86, shot up to like almost $600. So yeah, I mean that shows you the power of LeBron. But yeah, I mean I think he knew what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? He knew the time was coming. He know fans are gonna speculate and think that. I know JJ Redick said it was dumb, but at the same time, like y'all know people are gonna expect that, bro. The second decision, what decision would it be? You ain't going to a new team, right? What I know Prime Day is coming up. I know you're ambassador for Prime, but what else would it be? We thinking retirement. When you think about no Hennessy ad on Amazon Prime, we thinking of retirement. So he knew what the hell he was doing, man. But nonetheless, man, wishing him a speedy recovery. He's dealing with a psychiatric nerve. He's gonna be out 3 to 4 weeks. So no LeBron, no Steph, obviously to open the season, unfortunately. But wishing him speedy recovery. But he knew what the hell he was doing.
I ain't lie, dog. I gotta hit you with that QB Marcus after that. But I mean, yeah, that was I guess that was done. But I mean, we'll just leave it like that, brother. Well, since we got a little more extra time, 4 minutes left, man. Alonzo Ball, coming back this year after like 3 or 4 years off, seems to be rejuvenated. You know what I mean? How well do you think Alonzo Ball does this year?
I think they believed in him, right? I think they traded Isaac Okoro for him. So I think he played a little bit last year, not too many minutes, but played a little bit with the Bulls. I think he got traded, obviously, if I'm not mistaken. But we know what Lonzo can do. Lonzo can run the offense, right? Lonzo can set you up. He can probably make the job a little bit easier for Donovan Mitchell, who gets a lot of defensive pressure, right? Being kind of that beeline guy when he gets a double or he's trapped, get the ball to him. He's going to set up the play against the defense and be able to put them in the best look or best shot that they want. It's just a matter of him staying healthy. That's all it's ever been with Lonzo. Staying healthy, being on the court. We know he could be obviously a contributor, but can he stay healthy for those full 82, or will he have less minutes? That's the big key for Lonzo. If he can stay healthy, he could definitely be a contributing factor and effective for Cleveland.
100%. I think he's definitely in the running if everything goes right for most improved or comeback. I think maybe possibly. Nah, we ain't gonna say most improved, but comeback player of the year, and potentially an all-star this year. Because we know what Lonzo Ball can do when he's healthy and fully capable and clicking on all cylinders. So that's gonna be something to watch. And I mean, we'll see. If especially if things go well with him, I think you can find the Cleveland Cavaliers back at the top of the East. But now I'm gonna throw it back to you, man, for any last comments and remarks.
Yeah, man. No, I don't have any last comments or remarks. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Shout out to Coach Gibbons. Appreciate him coming in, man. Definitely had the pod jumping. We appreciate all the new supporters and the comment content y'all want to see as far as hoops goes. Again, we're trying to grow it. We know it's a process, but however we can appeal to y'all and get y'all to tune in on Thursdays, man, let us know. But we plan to continue to get some of the high-profile high school basketball coaches in here, man. But yeah, that's it. I'll leave it at that.
I'm saying, and for anybody that's here that's was watching Coach Gibbons' interview, or any coaches that's here, man, you know what I'm saying, definitely bring me a Naj in, man. You know what I'm saying? We'll run around the world, you know what I'm saying, and shoot you out the gym, man. We like that, but we love to kind of just get some content with y'all, man, and you know what I'm saying, learn more about y'all culture. You know what I'm saying? Put y'all players on the platform as well as bust you over the head, you know what I'm saying, outside the ring, playing around the world, man. But that's all we got. We're back Monday, football, you know what I'm saying, a hit show, QB Marcus, DB Coach Julian, you know what I'm saying, Jew, you know what I'm saying, I may call him fan favorite. And you know what I'm saying, myself and Naj, man, we'll see y'all Monday. And, of course, we're back Thursday, potentially, as my brother said, for a big guest. But we'll see y'all Thursday, and we'll see y'all Monday, and probably Saturday for the college football wind-up show. So peace and love, and see y'all next time.